Welcome back on this fine Tuesday evening, back to the Spartans Master Series, and we're back again to the Daytona International Speedway. We were just here 1 month ago, 4 weeks' time. It took us to travel back down to the great state of Florida. We were just here for the Daytona Road Course, switching up a little bit today, going back to the Super Speedway to honor NASCAR's beginnings of the season, and it is going to be fantastic here on the Spartans Master Series on Grid Vision. Get an aerial vision of Daytona International Speedway real quick. Joe, how many races you've run here? How many wins you got? And, well, what do you think of it?
I've probably run about 10, maybe 15 races here. I've probably got about 0 wins. And what I've got is that it's still my favorite racetrack. I like it. It reminds me of like a perfect hot dog, quintessentially American, flawless, doesn't need anything added to it. It's just fun. It's a great track to watch a race on. I couldn't be more excited to watch this race tonight.
If I would have asked a million people how to describe Daytona, I don't think a single other person would have said it's like a perfect hot dog. I don't think that anybody else would have said that Daytona is a perfect hot dog. But hey, I'm here for it. I like myself a good hot dog. Glizzy Gobbler's up in the chat.
Yeah.
We're going to move over to the championship standings, though, as it looks like Justin Levine has overtaken his teammate, Joseph Kazi, up at the top of the board. 28 points between those two. Charles Van Schack back in third. PB Henry in fourth. Johan Seminario coming off of his fuel mileage win last week at Gateway in the 5th place spot of the standings. Kevin Zosiak in sixth. Westwood, Sanchez, Gerlach, and Hickson round out the top 10 of the point standings and still tied up at the top before you hit the playoffs.
That's a lot of one sim names up there. That team is performing very well this season.
Yeah, One Sim has had a bit of a monopoly of the checkered flags. Lou Christian being the only one to bring home a checkered flag this season, not under the One Sim banner. But hey, we're at Daytona. This is where mayhem can happen. Anybody can win this race. So, Joe, what are your keys to the race, knowing that anybody out here out of the 40 cars could possibly win?
Let's talk about mayhem. The first thing is right rear side suck. It sounds like it's a lot simpler than what it sounds like. Basically, you want to get that car tucked in on the right rear, especially on the outside. If you're trying to make a pass, physics will work for you. It'll make the cars come together and you can make the pass on the outside, but you got to get close, and that's where risk comes in. And with risk can come reward, but you can't win it on the first lap. If you risk it for the biscuit on lap 1, you start throwing blocks. It's not going to come out well. We got 120 laps here tonight, so take your time, be patient. But if you do manage to wreck every other car in the race, you will win by default. So keep that in mind as we go into the race tonight. My third key to the race, don't die. There's going to be some wrecking. There's going to be moments where you think, hey, I got this little spider sense, my goosebumps are going. Pull out of the line. Get some perspective on what's going on. You've got time in the race to make it back, so don't go crazy. Let's see what happens.
And it's going to be a long race tonight, right? 120 laps. So we're really not going to know who's going to win this thing until the very end. I mean, typically you see that at super speedways anyway, but man, 120 laps, it is going to be a long one here tonight. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the broadcast picks real quick. Up first, myself, as always, I'm going to go with Chris Hudson. I think Hudson's pretty due. He's had speed all season long. And when we go to a super speedway, kind of opens up the box a little bit. I think we could see Hudson bring home the win.
Tonight, I let fate decide where my eyes landed on the qualifying board, and for some reason, the name that kept lighting up in neon was Charles Van Schack. And I just got a feeling that there's like something in the air, astrology-wise. I'm not sure. I just got a good feeling, a divination, that Charles Van Schack is going to do great tonight.
Yeah, you seem pretty confident about that one. It sounds like that was some oomph that you put into that one. And it looks like Austin Derbyshire going for the number 96 machine of Jeffrey Souza. Souza not with a great qualifying spot, but we know that Souza has had some pretty decent speed in the past, so we look for the number 96 to come towards the front of the field. And ultimately, qualifying doesn't really mean much, right? You're on a different setup, and, well, we've mentioned this race is a long one, so it's, you got plenty of time to come through the field.
Yeah, and we've seen there are some drivers that just know how to use that time and to be patient and to drive up through the field whenever they want to. And there are some drivers who get out in front early, and sometimes they just don't make it to the end of the race, and it's heartbreaking. We're going to see that full range of emotions on display tonight because Daytona brings out the best and the worst in some of the best drivers that we've got in this league.
Well, it looks like we're getting ready to grid on up. The warm-up has just concluded here, so we're going to go ahead and do a full field rundown of the qualifying order. Kalen Mitchell up on the pole. I believe this is not his first pole of the season. He's had a handful of them, but just has not gotten into victory lane in that number 67. Justin Levine, he's been in victory lane a couple times, leading the points, starting on the outside row, the outside of the front row. Starting back in third is Johan Seminario, last week's winner, starting in fourth. A guy that missed last week, but has been dominant all year long, Joseph Kazi. Fifth place is going to be Cody Curran, with Devin Maines making his return in the sixth place position. Jose Medina starting in seventh place, with Chad Kibbe on his outside in eighth. Charles Van Schack, Joe's race pick, starting on the inside of row number 5, with Lou Christian on the outside in 10th.
All right, moving on to the 11th spot. That's Kyle Gerlach on the inside. Evan Ethel on the outside in 12th. 13th, Chris Hudson. 14th, Mark Sanchez. 15th, Christoph Hall. 16th, Reese Schaefer. 17th, Robert Vissaud. And in 18th, Sammy Harrell. 19th, Dakota Jorgensen. And 20th, Jeffrey Souza.
21st place is going to be David Mayberry, with Art Nicotera starting on his outside in 22nd. Drew Prohl starting on the inside of row number 12, with Kyle Westwood taking out the outside lane. Adam Patet in his second start, starting in the 25th place spot, with Blair Holloman on his outside in 26th. Starting in 27th is going to be Scott Healy, with Corey Saucier starting in 28th. David Salter, series regular, sitting alongside another series regular of Jordan Sailors in 29th and 30th. And then, Joe, bring us home.
And moving on from 30th, we've got 31st, Kevin Zosiak. 32nd, James Staples. 33rd, Colton Gardner. 34th, James McRae. 35th, Scott Schroeder. 36th, PB Henry. 37th, Jeffrey Goodpaster. 38th, Dave Fuge Jr. The 39th, Cody Riggs. And rounding it out, number 40, Jake Hickson.
Goodpaster's a funny last name. What if he was a really bad pastor?
The Jeffrey Bad Priest. That's the evil version of that.
If he wrecks the field, we'll call him that.
Roger that.
He'll have deserved it. And somebody's going to wreck the field tonight, but you got to think, these next-gen cars, these things are tanks, right? In a 120-lap race,
they are.
if you wreck in the first stage, honestly, which ends, I believe, on lap 50, where you got plenty of time to fix that thing, right? I mean, you got the free caution at lap 50 as well. So I got to imagine we're going to see a lot of pushing here in this first stint. On a full fuel tank, you can make it about 40, 41 laps. Obviously, we have the abbreviated fuel tank in the Spartan Master Series, so it's going to be a little bit shorter than that. I say a little bit. It's going to be 28 laps if I had to bet off the top of my head. That might even be pushing it. That might be pushing it.
I'll take that, though. And remember, the man out front who's doing all the pushing through the air is going to be on an even different fuel strategy than the man behind him, and this is a drafting track. So being in front may not be to some people's benefit if they drive hard early here.
Well, we're about to find out exactly what's about to happen in the Spartans Masters Series from Daytona. 120 laps on the way. Kayla Mitchell to the green flag, and we're racing from Daytona. Side by side down the short chute towards turn 1. Kayla Mitchell down on the inside, getting a push from Johan right behind him in that beautiful Craftsman machine. Craftsman versus Mac Tools as we come down to turn 1, side by side between the two, and it is 2x2 all the way through.
This is what we like to see here. If we can keep these columns going for a little bit longer, we're going to figure out which one's got the dominance. Now, right now, it looks like it's the outside. There's a little bit of a split going on, though. Some opportunists making their way from the bottom line to the top line, though. On the outside is Justin Levine by just about a car length.
Justin Levine pulled ever so slightly clear. Kalen Mitchell did not take it. All of a sudden, side by side through 3 and 4 once again, but the outside line is moving off the corner. Great straight line speed as you come off that outside. Joseph Ghazi going to come down to the bottom. Justin Levine throwing the block, so the 2-1 Sim teammates taking the bottom. Devin Maines now ripping the top.
That was a very good coordinated move, just almost cutting the nose off the 67 of Kalen Mitchell, but Mitchell just enough, I don't know if he let off or he saw it coming, but he gave him just enough room to get down there without losing any stability, maintaining it through these turns. Kalen Mitchell, very good job.
Devin Maines getting a huge shove on the outside. Chad Kibbe all over the back bumper in that number 23, trying to shove him down the back straightaway, trying to get both these guys clear as they come down into turn 3. Devin Maines is clear of Justin Levine down on the inside, but he's not leaving Kibbe and Christian up top by themselves just yet through 3 and 4. Maines deciding to stay on the high side, but I got to point out, we got a brand new drafting model this week in iRacing for the A car, and let me tell you, this thing overheats unbelievably. So if you're a guy like Chad Kibbe all over the back bumper of Devin Maines, you got to get clear fast. You got to get down to the bottom lane as soon as you can if you're going to be all tucked up under the back bumper. Because if you start overheating and you have to start lifting, the inside line is just going to freight train you, and it looks like it's starting already.
Yeah, there it is. Here comes that freight train. you were talking about it, and it looks like it's just started. That inside line is maintaining a pretty good amount of cohesion right now, while the outside is still trying to figure things out. 4 cars there, Intrepid Explorers on the outside line, trying to make it work. But out in front, Maines looks like he's holding back things a little bit. Kibbe needs to get around him.
I don't even know if it's a getting around. It's just, like I said, it only takes 2 laps of being tucked up behind somebody for your oil to start pushing 285, and that's the danger zone. Your dash starts blinking red at 284, you hit 285, and you start sweating. You start getting nervous. Is my engine going to pop? Is my engine going to blow? Am I going to lose any RPM just off of, or any motor power just off of pushing it too hot? And right now the outside line just going backwards, and they just don't have the numbers either. Whenever you don't have the numbers, the guy in second place of the line has to push that much harder, run their fuel or their oil temp up that much higher. And, well, Chad Kibbe just not able to stay completely tucked up and given the shove that he was earlier. Obviously, he's tucked up behind him now down the back straightaway. But as soon as they get to the corner, having to lift ever so slightly, trying to find some air, look at him dipping out to the top side of the racetrack, trying to get that oil temp down.
Let's see what they can do. Those 4 cars still sitting there. I don't think anybody's got room. Maybe that last car can move down. Who is that last car there? Need to get eyes on that really quick. Couldn't quite get a car number, but it looked like there was room for him to slide down. I don't think he's going to take the bait, though. I think that's going to fill up again, the upper line at some point, but I do think it's going to be after Maines eventually makes his move down to the bottom line.
And I think a lot of these guys just kind of content with riding early. You would just want to stay in touch with the main pack. The side draft is so massive on this new package that if you're towards the middle part of the pack, if 2 guys get side by side, 3 guys get side by side, and in just the worst possible spot, all of a sudden, all 3 of you just go backwards. You see a decent gap between about, I believe that's 18th and 19th, a little bit further back in the pack. Not big enough to lose the draft for that big single file train, but if there was just a little bit more of an aggressive of a side draft that had originally broken those guys apart, the entire second half of the pack could lose touch with the leaders really quick.
That's true. It looks like they are staying together fairly well. There isn't really a huge gap forming right now anywhere, even in the main chain. The main chain's pretty spread out, but it still is a chain. You've got cars that are well within the bubble, hanging on to the draft as best they can. Right now, we've got eyes on Dakota Jorgensen looking back here. Scott Healy's back here. Everybody's got a pretty good thing going, kind of like you said. There's no reason right now to make a heavy play unless you can get to that right inside and you've got room in front. This is a good place to just kind of ride the line.
The outside line is gaining numbers, though. We saw whenever they came all the way up to the front of the pack, they were only about 3 strong with Maines, Kibbe, Christian. Now they've added 2 more contenders to the back of the pack here for him. Evan Ethel up to the top, Chris Hudson up to the top with him. I see a couple more cars a little bit further back, trying to test that high lane out, trying to pick up a draft to pull forward and maybe push this top side through. And like I said, whenever you get the numbers, you could potentially get back up towards the front. It's just, whenever you got 3 or 4 guys and you're relying on that second place car to push, it just comes in spurts. And right now, they're starting to come back through again. Devin Maines is side by side with Johan Seminario for 4th place. Chad Kibbe may have gotten that thing cooled down good enough to be able to push again.
Just about. And it looks like Bissaw Jr., Robert Bissaw there, is tucked in behind Chris Hudson. He was able to find the draft. It was actually kind of great to watch him. He was back a little ways, found that draft, maintained a really good angle, and got tucked in now. He's the last car there on the outside.
The outside line, honestly, a little bit too high. If they were a little bit lower, maybe they could get that side suck that we were talking about in the keys to the race. Get to that right rear quarter panel, just drag that guy back. The right rear side draft seems to be a little bit stronger than the left rear, so even whenever you pass them, you're all of a sudden side drafting the next guy in line. And yeah, they're side drafting you back, but it just seems like it is stronger on the right side of the car. I don't know if it's actually that the draft is stronger, the side draft, or just the fact that you've got that better run of momentum off the corner. It's easy to build it, easier to keep it because you're a little bit wider through the corner. Unfortunately here, though, Devin Maines going backwards again. Him, Kibbe, Christian, all finding a hole on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Yep, Maines, taking that move. Kibbe coming down. We've got some abandoning of the top line. So now, leading the top line, it looks like it is who is that? There's only one person there now. Is that Luke Christian?
No, it's Evan Ethel getting hung out to dry. He tried to find a gap right there. Not quite going to be able to do it in front of Hall. Evan going to lose a couple more positions. Going to try to find this hole behind Reese Schaefer. Looks like it's a big enough gap for Evan to fit his way in there. They had a pretty big bit of separation in front of the 8 of Dakota Jorgensen. And now just about single file all the way from first on to 40th.
Yeah, that's going to help Jorgensen close that gap and every car behind him subsequently. So let's see if this train stays a train. Now we just got to look out for some people trying to make moves. And I think if everything is groovy, and it looks like it's pretty groovy, we're going to see this line for a while. We might even see it leading up to closer to 50 before people start making moves for the end of stage 1.
Well, luckily we've got a pit stop in the middle there somewhere, so we can't go.
That's true.
We can't go quite to the stage end. So we'll shake it up a little bit once we get to pit stops.
Totally fair. I absolutely had forgotten that we were only running on partial gas here. One of the last races I watched was 100% gas, and I've been spoiled. So I'm trying to remember it.
Justin Lamine still up at the front of the field. Kazi tucked up right under him. Caleb Mitchell still riding in the third place position, your pole sitter. Johan Seminario sitting in fourth. I'm going to tell you right now from experience, you don't want to be around that 16 super speedways. He is a death trap. And it's not necessarily always his fault. It's just, for whatever reason, bad luck seems to find that number 56 Team Conti machine every single time he goes to a super speedway.
Well, right now, he's in a pretty good luck spot. He's got, he can keep the car relatively cool, I think. Well, you said that if you get on the bumper, you actually risk overheating, though, right?
If you're hard pushing for 2 laps, you're going to push your oil temp from about 200 to 210, which is where it's going to rest if you're not really pushing, all the way up to 285. It will get up to the popping point within 2 laps. So,
gotcha.
With the way Johan's driving, he got to the back bumper of Caleb Mitchell, but it was just shoved down the back straightaway. Then he breathes through the corner, breathing it all the way down the front straightaway. At that point, obviously, we can't see his oil temps. iRacing hides spectators from being able to see it, but I'd imagine it's somewhere around the 225, 235 range right now for Johan, even coming down a little bit more through turns 1 and 2 until he gets right up to the back bumper right here at Caleb Mitchell, where he's going to shove him down the back straightaway. It'll gain about 15, 20 degrees down the back straightaway if he stays tucked up the entire time, and then through the corner, he'll let it breathe again.
If we look back a little ways right now in the line, I think a pretty sizable gap has actually started to form. Looks like there's a group in the front and a group that has started to form towards the back here. Yep, there it is. There's the gap, and it looks like Evan Ethel, after moving down, has started to potentially cost the inside line some speed, maybe? Do you think this is Ethel to blame here?
Well, I'm going to go back and look to be sure, because I'm a little surprised that we're all single file. I don't really know how this might have happened. I'm watching a replay here on lap 10 of Ethel. He just doesn't have any help from behind this entire time. He's still got a draft from Reese Schaefer up in front of him, and he's just waiting on the guys behind to hopefully catch him, hopefully catch him, hopefully catch him. And so far, this entire lap that I'm watching, like I said, I'm going back to lap 10, getting an eye on it. Evan just didn't ever have any help. Dakota was too far off of his bumper, and Evan couldn't catch the guys in front because he had no help. So I can't necessarily put it on Dakota Jorgensen either, because Jorgensen didn't really have any strong pushing help behind him for most of the lap either. But over the course of the 2 laps after that, they just completely lost touch with the back of the main pack. Reese Schaefer was just shoving Sammy Harrell so good at the back of that pack that he basically shoved him away from the second pack.
Wow, yeah, it was remarkable, right? It was just remarkable enough of a gap to have formed in a relatively short amount of time without a wreck or a skid or a brake check, anything. And so now we've got 2 sets of cars working on Daytona, working on that are going to hopefully get mixed up again once the fuel comes into play here. Because we had a really solid thing going there for a little while. Chad Kibbe right now moving up to the outside, though.
Well, this is the second pack's only saving grace, is if some guys in the front pack start getting side by side, start racing, start making some mistakes. If they get side by side, they're side drafting each other, so slowing each other down. So you would pull them all back, but unfortunately for them, that main pack already single file again. Kibbe coming back down, Christian down to the bottom, Chris Hudson down to the bottom. And whenever this happens, and look, I got to be honest, the draft package, a lot of people have been talking crap on it, myself included, because it does suck. But it is much more realistic than what we had. Right now, all these guys are just thinking, save mode. I know we don't see this exactly in real life, right? We don't see 2 long single file trains. But whenever everybody's pushing hard or everybody's fuel saving, you do get those 2 kind of choo-choo trains that you get. There's more movement on iRacing still than there is in real life, but it's still a whole lot more realistic than what we used to have, even though I really liked what we had before. It was more fun, more exciting. especially the broadcast. But now with this new draft package, it feels a little bit more like the super speedway racing in real life, which sucks.
Yeah, it's a tough line to draw sometimes in the simulation world between how fun is it just because it's not a complete simulation, and how much of a simulator should we make it at the cost of losing some of that organic funness that's baked into the experience here. And iRacing being top of the line, first in class basically for this kind of experience, they are going to be scrutinized, and they're going to be looked at for on a lot of different levels, more than other racing games, with other racing experiences. And I think that's to everyone's benefit in the end. So maybe call it a growing pain. Maybe they'll make an adjustment later if enough people say something, and tune it down a little bit.
I don't know. They try as hard as they can to go for the realism, right? So
True.
I don't necessarily I can't blame iRacing. They made it more realistic, right? If they're gonna say it's a simulator, they need to make it as realistic as possible. And well, let's be honest, the Cup cars now have way too much drag for super speedway racing. If you have any idea of what you're talking about whenever it comes to super speedway racing on NASCAR, you would agree these cars have way too much drag. I've been to probably half of the super speedway races that have happened since this car came into existence, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, seeing it in real life at Talladega 2 times a year, Daytona once a year, Atlanta once a year. It's bad. Atlanta can be good because it's a tighter racetrack. You got to lift a little bit. Handling comes into play. Daytona's a little bit worse, but at the end of the race, especially for the 500, they just go absolutely balls to the wall, and people don't necessarily care about the runs they're making. They're just going to take it. But at Talladega, especially Talladega, it's just 4 wide fuel saving, and it looks really pretty in pictures because they're 4 wide. But if you know what you're looking at, nobody's pushing. Nobody's actually trying. Some of the excitement from super speedway racing is sitting in the stands and thinking, oh my goodness, a wreck could happen at any point. And you're not cheering for that wreck. You're scared for that wreck. You're afraid it's going to happen. There's no sense of urgency or fear whatsoever anymore whenever I go to these super speedway races. I just look out there and I'm like, yep, they're traveling 25 miles off the pace. Yeah,
I think you're right about that. There is a lack of that sort of sense of unease.
Yes.
And when we've got things that are lining up with that they are at this point. Maybe if we had guys pushing for a little more side drafting, maybe if there was a little bit more aggression, we'd see some more of that classic, side-by-side racing. But I think right now, this is the racing that suits this course, and this is the racing that suits this car. So this is what we've got. We're going to make it work for us, and we're going to see who can, really bend this model. Every time a new model comes out, we get to see who's a new champ. It does make things kind of interesting. Who's going to bend this model and break it finally?
See, I can agree with you on that, right? Like there's a learning curve each time that this happens. And, and I'll give iRacing a little bit of credit. They didn't make it quite like real life. There's still moves you can make here, right? Yeah. And in real life, especially at Talladega, you can't pull out a line, right? The third line does not exist unless they are fuel saving in front of you. Here, you can pull out 3 wide, but if you don't have any help, you're going backwards, which is fine. But you can find holes. You can maneuver around for whatever reason in real life right now. And like I said, it's a big part because there's so much drag on these daggone race cars. If you pull out a line, you're going all the way to the back. Even if you have 1 helper, even if you have 2 helpers, that third line's going backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. You fall out of line and you are a man alone. Speaking of out of line, we have a second line forming here. Now Chad Kibbe back up to the outside. He's got a little bit of help. Let's see if this 4-man group can push ahead of the 3-man group that is down on the inside right now, keeping them out. It's not a lot of cohesion up there. Not seeing
it. The part that's not realistic is the fact that if somebody does pull out, all of a sudden they get in a side drafting war and both lanes go backwards, right? That's not quite what happens in real life, right? The lane on the inside will still get sucked up to the rest of the cars on the inside, and everybody's going to stay in line. You're not going to just completely lose the pack. Maybe 1 or 2 cars will, some of the shit boxes in the very back. Whoa. But it looks like we got a couple cars coming down pit road, deciding to take their maybe one and only pit stop of stage 1 right as the fuel window opens.
Yeah, here we go. Beautiful shots here of these cars coming in. That's Holloman. A couple other cars. Looks like the 18 Also pitted the 18 of... Who's driving that? Dave Mayberry, excuse me.
No, the 18's David Salter.
Oh, David
Oh,
Salter.
never mind. That's us. We're both wrong. We're both wrong. That's Saucier. David Salter's
Saucier,
28.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
It's all good. We'll get it right. Still out, though. Our leaders. Who do you think is going to be the first one to cut? You think it's going to be Levine?
Well, it'll out of the front five, it'll be Levine just because he's leading the group. But they're all going to come down on the same lap, guaranteed. Right? We know Kazi, Seminario are on teams, all right. in the same voice chat. So you got to think they're kind of talking to each other, deciding when they want to come down pit road.
Oh, right.
But, you know, they've really pulled away. The front four in a lap car have completely pulled away from the rest of the pack because, you know, these guys go side by side and get punished. But here come the leaders. Levine, Kazi, Seminario, all coming down pit road, and Cody Curran's following them in.
Smart move. That's it.
Devin Maines.
The middle pack is there.
Devin Maines came in too. He tried to catch up to the main pack by just outbraking himself, and he ended up going out of pit road. I think he's probably going to get a black flag for that one.
Yeah, that was off. Unfortunately, I think it was. We'll see. He's up on the jacks now.
See if he gets stuck in the pit box or not. Get a look at Devin Maines. Decides to come down pit road, late pull down to the bottom. Does he ever lock him up? Doesn't look like he locks him up until the very last second. But then he's just, you know, directionally off the racetrack. Very well could have gotten a speeding penalty from going too fast, and could have gotten a penalty for going off of pit road. Going back and looking at it, I don't know if he got a penalty that he would have to sit in there for. So didn't get a speeding penalty.
Yeah.
Looks like he might be all right, but I'm kind of shocked. Going all four wheels into the grass, typically a penalty, but Maines looks like he got away with that one. Caleb Mitchell now coming down. He had lost touch with the couple leaders before they all came down pit road. See a little bit of damage to the front of his car as well. And then finally, we got this big pack here. Cars that have already come down pit road, led by Mark Sanchez, Sammy Harrell, Saucier's in there. Big stack up on the bottom side of the racetrack, too. This is going to completely shake
people
up.
Trying to get out. Ooh, this is a big shake-up here. Yo, we got a wreck. Who was that? I think that was Sammy Harrell. He had a car sideways and up into the wall. That's going to be the first yellow tonight. Lap 26 of 120, halfway to the stage.
And Sanchez, Shaq, and a couple of those guys up towards the front of that actually had not come down pit road just yet. I think Harold might be slowing down to come to pit road. Maybe. Did Sammy Harold run out of gas? Or the way he slowed down in the middle of 3 and 4 almost looked like he ran out of gas.
Yeah, he slowed down hard. He was right into the back of that.
Yeah, he's sputtering. He's sputtering.
What a terrible situation.
Well, the problem is he kind of had to, right? If he makes it that lap, he's going to cut it super close to making it to the end of the stage. Everybody else was going to have to come down pit road and take a splash of gas before the end of the stage due to the way the stages are lined up with the fuel cell, right? These guys were pushing it as far as possible, but nobody could make it 25 laps. Those guys were the ones trying to, and Harrell ended up, you know, getting turned after sputtering. You can't blame anybody behind him too either, because it's just a long chain of cars trying to go, and all of a sudden a car just stops on the inside. Obviously Harrell couldn't do much but maybe get on the microphone and say, I'm about to run out of gas. Maybe that might have probably would have helped out a little bit, but kind of unfortunate for the cars behind. A couple 4Xs involved in there, but either way, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break of the racing action. Now that we're under the caution flag here from Daytona, when we come back, we're hoping to take it to the end of stage 1.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Are you looking to add to your diecast collection? Well, visit GoatRacingDiecast.com. Explore one of the largest collections available with the options for pre-orders, new inventory, and the GOAT's personal collection for over 25 years. There's an option for every level of hobbyist. Ship direct. Personal custom diecasts are available. Shop the GOAT Racing merch store. And if you're a driver, apply for a sponsorship today. Turn your hobby into a passion and head on over and shop GoatRacingDiecast.com.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Spartans Master Series. Coming back to the green flag here, Justin Levine picking the top side for the restart. Everybody should be able to make it to the end of stage number 1. They're going to do a little bit of a teammate restart here at the front. Levine's going to clear himself in front of Kazi. And we're back to racing here from Daytona. The 3 teammates lined up on the inside. They're just trying to get sorted out behind. A lot of the guys too wide, already finding holes on the bottom just because they know from that first run, you can't stay 2x2 for too long.
Yeah, that first run proved if you stay 2x2 and you don't have the numbers, like all of the numbers, it's just not going to happen. It may even be the outside line just not working for people right now. But it looks like the 75 is going to move up to the outside line. Kyle Gerlach. Oh, here's no middle line, Kyle. Come on back down. There we go.
You know, if this was the race for the lead, this would be exciting as hell right now. But instead, and it's still exciting, I'll be honest. But they're losing so much ground to the guys up front. Mark Sanchez having to go down to the apron, getting caught out 3 wide there. Just getting out of the way, coming back up onto the racetrack. But a lot of these guys, because they're stuck side by side, they have just side drafted each other all the way off of the leaders. 1.7 seconds that they just lost to Levine, Kazi, and Seminario just in 1 lap off the restart.
Yikes. Yeah, there's the group out in front. 1, 2, 3. And this fighting group in the back, these guys side drafting each other, holding each other back a little bit, that is going to be a gap that's hard to make up. until they get themselves coordinated, get in line, and start pushing each other pretty seriously, because the push that's happening in the front is really intense.
And the second pack, if they were all single file, they would run them down in a jiffy, right? It wouldn't be that big of a problem. But they've only got 5 cars single file. The front 2 or 3 are pushing pretty good, trying to make ground up, but they're still stuck side by side from 5th on back. Now Kayla Mitchell pulls to the outside for about, I believe, the 7th place position, and it's just going to continue to slow these guys down. Them being side by side, they're continuing to lose ground. It was 1.7 last time around entering turn 1. Now it's 2.4.
Yeah, we need to keep things tight a little bit. You see, also, let's see, who is that there? I think that was Robert Bisaw Jr. down the inside line. The inside line is not really hugging the yellow line very tightly right now. There's a lot of wiggling going on, a lot of moving. I'm not sure what kind of trouble that might be causing with this draft package, but there's a big lack of cohesion on the inside line. Even with that outside, here's the side draft that we were looking for earlier. Here's the side draft action coming in from the outside line, but even with that, the inside line is just not really hanging tight that yellow line.
Well, with this, oh, Kayla Mitchell comes down, turns Lou Christian. We're going to have an accident from 4th on back. Robert Bisaw Jr. into the outside wall. Nobody getting completely sideways, though, so the yellow flag has not flown. Finally, the yellow flag coming out. Wow. Oh, no.
I'm surprised that took so long. That was a 3 or 4 car wreck right there. Let's see it. Up, there it goes. The 21 up and in.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. I don't know if Mitchell came down too far, if Lou Christian came off the bottom coming down the front straightaway, but again, it's a product of the side drafting and everybody being side by side 3 seconds off the race lead. Like, we're driving so hard for 4th place rather than trying to catch the leaders. Can we get one more replay where we really catch the beginning of the contact, maybe a head-on view? I really want to see from Lou Christian's head-on view whether he came up off the racetrack or.
That's good. Back machine here and see if we can see it.
It looks like there's a little twitch off the nose from Chris Hudson. Hudson's pushing Lou Christian, not doing anything wrong whatsoever, but for whatever reason, their bumpers come together in a way that shoots Christian up the racetrack through the tri-oval.
Yeah,
it's just a
little
view from the eyes of Lou Christian. You can see he just ever so slightly comes up, and then it's contact because the side draft was so aggressive already. I mean, I know all these guys are fighting for stage points, but a little bit of patience would go a long way, but they all got side by side.
Yeah, and when and the level of perception that Lou Christian had on his right side, it's kind of hard for us to tell up from up here in the box, obviously. But if you know that you're getting side drafted or that there's a second line forming, you cannot risk that drift up to the middle off of the tri-oval like that, and your car is going to want to do it because of the way that the track kind of tightens up a little bit, but you got to resist it.
And I'm talking about, obviously Lou came off the bottom ever so slightly. I don't even know if it was his fault or if it's just, getting, bumper tagged from behind, right? They're pushing so hard from behind, it's going to shoot you up the racetrack in certain positions, right? Especially coming off the corners, coming out of the tri-oval, the car gets a little bit loose, the back end starts getting a little nervy on you. So you're just going to slide up the track ever so slightly, but the outside line was pinching so hard. And I know we're racing for stage 1 points. I know that there are points on offer in 17 laps, so maybe you want to, go for the stage points as hard as you would for the race win. But personally, myself, I would not be side drafting that hard. Would I side draft? Abso-freaking-lutely. I would get down there. I would give them about a quarter to half a car width, make sure that everybody's safe. There wasn't any room for error, which is why we got very minor error, and that was enough.
That's right, and then we see the drive off the line. Yeah, we just saw the one sim team stack up right off of the pit road exit, waiting for each other to get in line here to get ready for the restart.
I'm a little confused with that one, right? These guys were running 1, 2, 3. They should have only needed a splash of gas. Why did they have to wait on each other? They should have all had the same amount of gas. Were one of them taking a pee break? Like, I'm a little confused. Johan was stuck in his box for a long time? Or was that Johan stuck in his box, or was it Levine? Yeah, okay. It was the one of Levine actually stuck a little bit further back in his box. Not quite sure what happened to the one of Levine then.
Might have been a bathroom break. Who knows? A really quick one.
Either way, they've given up their their lead. Oh, well, there's Levine in chat giving us a little insight. He had netcode damage. They were waiting on Justin to fix his netcode damage. That's been an issue today a decent bit too. I've noticed some netcode issues. I was bump drafting with Justin in a race earlier today, and I was about 2 feet off of his back bumper, and all of a sudden his back bumper just all of a sudden broke. And there was separation between his splitter and his back bumper. So I know there's been some netcode issues today as well as the interesting draft package that we got here.
Looks like Causey was giving him the push a little bit too hard there, and that netcode damage just added up to 30 seconds worth of his time.
Now that they're stuck a little bit further back, they just got to hope that the field doesn't separate the way that it did whenever they were leading, right? If somebody else gets a big gap like that, doesn't matter how fast those 3 cars are, they're not going to be able to, catch 10, 15 cars that end up going single file. Now, are we going to get 10 or 15 cars that go single file with 15 laps to go in stage 1? Maybe not. Maybe not. We might be racing a little bit harder at this point, but we'll just have to wait and see. See if the one sim guys can get back up here by the end of stage 1.
Well, the lights are off on the pace car, so you know what that means. We're going to be back racing here very, very soon. Folks, thanks for joining us on the broadcast tonight. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're watching again, welcome back. Good to have you here for the Daytona 120.
Getting a pretty decent idea of what the cup race is going to look like on Sunday. Just kidding. We're going to be 2x2 or 3x3 in the cup race, going 60% throttle for the first half of every single stage, which is a little bit different than what we're seeing here. Every time we try to go side by side, we pull each other off the back of the pack and create big gaps between, the front 5 to the next 5 to the next 5. I mean, the side draft is maybe a little strong. It might be a little too strong.
Fair enough. I was going to say, you think these guys are going 60% throttle?
No, absolutely not. They're pushing all out, but the side draft is way too strong. The drag in these cars is ridiculous, dude. It is honestly a joke. Like, they got to tone down the drag. They got to tone down the drag. It is crazy.
Coming back down, it's going to be back on, and hopefully not too crazy as things get restarted here.
Chris Hudson up in the front, Kyle Westwood on the outside here. Coming back to the restart, we're going to have 15 laps to go in stage number 1. Green flag is waving, and we're back to racing from Daytona. Gibby did not get a good restart from 3rd place on the inside, opening up the door for Westwood to come down if he wants to, but he sees that Hudson doesn't have any help yet, and he's going to stay on the outside groove coming down into turn number 1, trying to get that race lead away from Chris Hudson as we come through 1 and 2.
Well, there's a bump from Kibby to Hudson to keep him down and competitive on the inside. Hudson staying down near that yellow line as best he possibly can, coming around into the backstretch now. He's going to get that lead back just a little bit away from Kyle Westwood on the outside. Kibby with that push has really been instrumental, though, so let's see if he can make it work for him as we come around into 3 and 4.
Chris Hudson able to take that lead back as we come down into turn 3. Kibby finally getting that run down the back straightaway, giving him a big shove as Reese Schaefer was shoving him all the way down the backstretch. Now we're 4 cars clear on the bottom side of the racetrack. But this is the first Hornet's Nest we've seen all night. We got 2 distinct packs already, but they're all side by side, racing pretty hard, except for the front 4, who have gotten themselves clear. But now people up towards the front, all in the top 10, just trying to find a hole on the bottom.
There goes Kyle Gerlach, all right. And then the 92 of Kyle Westwood on the outside is also trying to find a spot. A moment ago, Johan Seminario was 3 wide there for a little bit further back in the pack. Things are sorting out, but the Hornet's Nest has moved a little bit further back around the 20th position.
Yeah, and this is where you got to be careful, being side by side. Oh, going 3 wide here for Levine. There's a hole down to the bottom that I would expect the 24 to take, but he stays middle with no help, so he's going to get sucker holed, and he's just going to go backwards. He's got no help, so goodbye, Staples. You are getting shucked to the back, buddy. There's just about nothing you can do. He's going to try to find a hole to the bottom. No, I don't think he was able to do it. Still 3 wide. Mark Sanchez took up that bottom side. And that's the thing, you got to find a hole. As soon as you lose your run, you got to find a hole right then. Because if you don't, you're just going to plummet, man. There's nothing you can do. And now they're stuck 3 wide back here. Mark Sanchez, Staples in the 24, Lou Christian up top. And as long as they stay 3 wide especially, you're just dragging each other back. Look how much ground they've lost to the cars in front of them. Other than Jake Hickson, I mean, already 4 or 5 tenths of a second lost to the pack in front of them. Not going to be enough to drag them completely off the pack. But, man, the side trap. The side trap has got me a little frustrated this week.
Yeah, just it's really cost. Yeah, as you saw, when Staples fell back between those two rows, both rows fell back just that extra little bit with him. It's just such a massive cost to get out of line. It feels like if anybody wants to make up distance on this track right now, you have to work together. Excuse me.
Apparently that was not
different,
Staples. Yeah, it was a different 24. We have two 24s in the... Oh, there's a caution somewhere further back in the pack.
Sorry about that. I had my paint scheme wrong, I guess, or...
Well, I mean, I saw 24 on the broadcast too, so I'm not quite sure. Oh, and he... Who is it? Who is it?
Oh, Cody Curran.
Oh, Cody's running the 24. That's not really the 24.
Okay.
It's supposed to be 03, but he's got a 24 on the side of his car, so that's going to be confusing all night long, but hey, it happens.
That's all right.
It happens.
Let's see what happened here.
You see, if he finds a hole whenever he had a hole, he would be fine, but instead he gets suckered hold all the way to the back, and kind of, does he clear himself or does Harold come up there? Either way, it's for last place, so why?
Yeah.
But it's, it happens, I guess.
Let's see what happens. So here he is down there, watching the replay. He's in the center
Harold
lane. I think he tries to come down. I think he tries
Harold
to come
came
down a
up
little
too.
bit.
Yeah. It's for last
Column
place.
A, column B. Yeah.
You got to get into the hole whenever you got the hole, right? As soon as the hole disappears, you can't force your way in there, right? We all know that doesn't work out. All right, we can't be forcing our way into holes that don't want us. And right there,
Absolutely
that hole did not want them.
No, that was not his hole, not his time.
No.
Here's some under
I see you,
caution
Blake,
action.
in chat. Appreciate you coming out and giving us some love on the YouTube chat. Looks like Cody Riggs pulling down to the bottom side of the racetrack. I think he had enough of the draft package too.
Yeah, causing a little bit of a stir here.
I don't blame him. I'm telling you. Now I've ran 5-6 races this week already. Yeah, 6 races. And if you got a good enough setup, you can kind of mitigate some of these issues, right? You can really tuck up on somebody, or if you really just know what you're doing. The problem is, you get stuck in the middle of the pack. Somebody makes that boneheaded move where they're side drafting like crazy, but they don't get clear. So then you're side drafting them back. And all of a sudden, that's where that yo-yo effect comes in, where you just pull each other back, pull each other off the rest of the pack. It doesn't matter how many cars are breaking the hole in front of you, giving you a draft. The side draft is way more powerful than the normal draft for whatever reason. I think it needs to be toned down a little bit. Maybe we need some smaller spoilers. I think Denny Hamlin on his podcast has mentioned the Super Speedway package would get fixed if they went back to what we were doing at the end of the Gen 6 era, where we take out some drag and take out some horsepower. Because obviously if you take out drag with the amount of horsepower we have right now, we would be going 230 into the corners.
Yeah.
A little unsafe. A little unsafe.
Little much.
For Super Speedway. But still, okay, take out some horsepower, but take out some drag, please. There's no reason for us to have so much drag on these race cars.
Yeah, the aerodynamics do not seem to benefit from it, and it's just kind of hindering the pack's ability to maintain cohesion as much as anything.
That's more of an NASCAR problem than an iRacing problem. I want to put that out there. I'm not trying to just rip on iRacing the entire time. It's not iRacing. They try to make the packages realistic as possible. They did a whole lot better job than what the last package was. Now, the last package was very realistic to the end of the Gen 6 era. I mean, it was just about a carbon copy. I mean, the runs that you got were ridiculous. The way you could latch up with somebody was unbelievable, and it was some of the most fun racing I've ever watched in my life. This is the complete opposite, right? It's definitely more realistic to the Gen 7 they got in real life. It's just NASCAR, for some reason, has been sitting on the Super Speedway package for 3 years and doesn't see a problem because we fuel save 4 wide and it looks pretty, even though it doesn't actually produce good racing.
Yeah, sometimes it seems to be they want that broadcast visual, and any way they can get it, they're gonna try to get it. Also, if it's as easy as leaving the car the way it is without addressing things that need changing, I guess that's the way they're gonna do it.
The best way I can put it, I mean, it's like you're swiping through Bumble or Tinder or Hinge, whatever your dating app you're using, or maybe you go out to a bar and you see this absolutely gorgeous woman, right?
Farmers only.
Okay, shut the hell up. But she is just absolutely gorgeous, the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. I mean, whatever you picture the perfect woman to be, that is it. But then you go up to her and you talk to her, and she is as bland as can be, right? Just doesn't have any personality to her. right? You talk to her, it's like talking to a damn cutting board. There's nothing behind that head or behind those eyes of hers. There's no brain. It's like a little tiny pea brain. That is what this package is actually like. It looks pretty at Talladega for a few laps. You know, the 20, 30 laps they're fuel saving at each beginning of each stage. But at the end of the stage, after they pit and they're all stuck 2 by 2, you realize, whoa, this girl is stupid.
Oh no.
That's the best way I can put it.
Vapid, empty-headed energy.
That's the best way I can put it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about the people that run the sport right now, to be honest with you. They just stick there with their thumbs up their butts and act like everything's okay.
Well, that's what's interesting. It's interesting as someone coming into the sport who hasn't watched it historically to see these things as for the first time viewer. This will be the first full season of NASCAR I've ever watched this year. So I'm kind of excited to get started and then to get into this minutia, the stuff that we're talking about.
Well, I'm not selling it very good to you, am I?
No, I think I'm going to skip it at this point.
Hey, watch every mile and a half.
The package.
Watch every mile and a half. The mile and a halves are fantastic. Atlanta is a great track with this super speedway package because, like I said, you get off the throttle. Handling matters, but handling doesn't matter here at all. The only thing that matters is whether you sidetrack each other off the pack or not.
Well, let's see if these guys can take. We'll see who takes advantage of it and who lets it take advantage of them. Unfortunately, the side drafting is going to come back into play as we get things started again. 8 to go until the end of this stage.
Yeah, like you said, 8 to go at the line. Chris Hudson, Chad Kibbe up on the front row, coming to the start-finish line. Green flag back in the air, and we're racing once again at Daytona. Hopefully we can actually do some racing this time. Kibbe ducking down in front of Schaefer immediately, up to the second place spot. So the front three single file all ready. Side by side for fourth. Not much help on the top groove yet.
No, not there. 97 of, up there at the front though, that 1, 2, 3 is looking pretty good. The 97 of Reese Schaefer giving a little bit of a push to Kibbe. Still a hornet's nest though, just a little ways back.
Oh, big bump on the outside, and that's just going to kill the outside line even more, as if we were going to get an outside line anyway. Oh my goodness, Joseph Kazi getting chased up the racetrack. Kazi was in the fence, and then he just gets wrecked. Left rear out of nowhere. No. Johan's involved. Looks like just about the entire One Sim gang and about 10 others all coming to blows down into turn number 3. I don't know who that was that turned Kazi, but that was a little much.
That was the little much is the best way to put that. That was the biggest one of the night so far. Let's see what happened exactly. We end up 3 wide. Kazi on the outside. Kazi into the wall. Loses a little bit of speed.
Sailors just came up the racetrack whenever Kazi's in the wall, and then everybody else just comes piling in. I mean, didn't have anywhere to go.
That was insane.
Definitely some ARCA brakes. Definitely some ARCA brakes a little bit further back too.
Yeah.
I don't like Kazi's in the fence, and Sailors just comes up and gets him. Like Kazi can't go any higher. I'm not surprised it's a Red Bull paint scheme. I like Jordan Sailors, by the way. There's nothing wrong with Jordan Sailors. He just made a mistake there, but it's always a Red Bull scheme. It's always a Red Bull scheme.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't put wings on cars. They give Red Bull to your car, it gives it wings, and that's what happens. Let's see this one more time.
Holy man, Jake Hickson got ass-packed big time. Van Schack had nowhere to go. Dave Fuge getting in that one.
Yeah, Fuge.
I told you Johan was going to be involved in a wreck. It's just a magnet on Johan every time. But I mean, poor Hickson. I mean, he did what he could to get through that thing, and then just got destroyed.
Yeah, he did. Fuge gave a big shove to Scott Schroeder there, I think it was.
I think it was Van Schack in the 0-0, but honestly, Van Schack got into him beforehand, but Schack couldn't get slowed down in time for it, and all of a sudden there's just cars sideways in front of you. And Hickson, Van Schack had the groove to the bottom. It looked like it was going to be clear for a moment, so at that point you're thinking, let me keep my foot in the gas, because I just need to get through this wreck. But then they washed down the racetrack as Hickson got a little bit of contact to the nose first and then got shot down to the bottom. Oh man, that was
Here's the view from Seminario.
Good job from Jorgensen. I want to get an onboard from Dakota Jorgensen, maybe even Mark Sanchez too. I want to see that onboard from Sanchez. I think Sanchez did a masterful job getting through there.
Let's see here, Mr. Mark Sanchez. This is Jorgensen right now.
This is going to be a good one. See Kazi just getting turned up at the top of the racetrack. Go bottom, go bottom, go bottom. Oh, let me split that gap. Yeah, not too crazy. He had a big hole that he could fit through, but Sanchez did a great job of getting on the brake pedal. Is the big thing for Mark Sanchez, right? He didn't just find a gap to shoot through. Sanchez was very patient getting through here, making sure he didn't get any, long-lasting damage. Going on the onboard with the number 29 on the top side of the racetrack. He's a good ways back, so you can see it happening immediately. Already sideways. You see him already on the brake pedal. Brake. Let me just get on the brakes as hard as possible. Maybe a little tap from behind there. But just as everybody's spinning, continuing to get on the brake. Great job, Mark Sanchez. That was exactly what you're supposed to do to get through one of these wrecks. You couldn't do it any better.
The 3 C's, calm, cool, and collected. That was very, very good driving from Mark Sanchez.
But the thing is, he wasn't collected in the wreck.
That's true. Calm, cool, and uncollected.
Not collected.
In
Yeah,
this case.
perfect.
It works for us in this definition.
Yeah, it could go either way.
Good. So good for you, Mr. Sanchez. I know in situations like that, it can be really tough to keep your head on your shoulders and not either try to, you just want to resist the urge to jerk the wheel away from the direction of the action. But he drove right toward that smoke. He knew where the action was moving to and put the car there. So, yeah, I could watch that replay 1,000 times.
So Mark Sanchez with the move of the race so far. Now only 46 laps into it. I think we're going to have a couple more contenders at least. But still, nonetheless, Mark Sanchez, stage 1 move of the race. I'm going to give him at least that. Well, we can go ahead and crown him that. I don't think anybody's going to have a better wreck avoidance in the next 3 laps. I could have to eat my shoe after that. I might have to eat those words. But so far, that might be the move of the race.
Might be. We've only got 4 to go, and the lights are now off, so we're going to have a short drive to the end of stage 1. Once we go back around here, 1 more full lap, 1 to green. Out in front of this crew, leading those laps, is going to be Chris Hudson, Chad Kibbe, Reese Schaefer, and Drew Prohl. Your block of 4 there.
So with only, 4 laps to go on the restart, do you think we're going single file again? Like, are we instantly single filing out right off the bat again, or do we push to the finish, right? Are we trying to just shove the ever-living hell out of the guy in front of us, even if we're going to get hung out from the inside line? As much as I want to say that they're going to stay side by side, I honestly think the front 7 at least are all going to file into line and then try to build a run off of that, right? That's honestly the right way to go from the way that I've learned over the last 6 A Opens I've done this week already. You got to get in line, build a run, because, again, there's so much drag. So get behind somebody so you don't get all the air hitting your car. And then you can pull out if you got a buddy. I'm hoping the guys up at the front don't know that, so that we can have a fun finish to the end of stage 1. But we'll wait and see.
I was about to say, my guess based purely on the inexperience of my time here is that Chad Kibbe will want to stay out because he's been doing that most of the race so far, and if Drew Prohl gives him an appropriate push, you might get that 2x2. But as we get the race restarted here, folks, I want to remind you to like and subscribe to today's video broadcast so we can bring you more of this excellent content.
Chris Hudson bringing us back down to the green flag. 4 laps to go to the end of stage number 1, so we're either going to finish it under green right here, or a yellow flag's going to end the first stage. Okay, big jump on the outside for some reason from 6th place, and he's in the I don't know who that was or why he did what he did, but he's still doing it, still stuck in the fence. That's got to be a hardware issue, right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, that might have been a monitor turn off or something. I don't quite know what's going on with Medina further back, but nonetheless, up at the front, we're single file.
Let's hope Medina can get off the track before these guys come around, or we might see a yellow. Out in front, though, we've got that line forming that we were hoping was going to form.
Medina has jumped to the pits. Yeah, so we're going to be fine. Up towards the top 3, though. They're all lined up, nose to tail. Chris Hudson, Chad Kibbe, Reese Schaefer, all in a line. The 2 right behind them are going to have a decent run to their back bumper, but it looks like Prohl not completely tucked up to the back of Scott Healy. Justin Levine somehow from the back all the way towards the front by the end of stage number 1 after having to pit for some damage earlier. The problem is he's got no help on the outside now.
He's a man alone. It's not going to work for him. It's going to end up costing him a little bit of speed, maybe costing the inside line just a bit from the side draft, as Hudson right now out in front has a pretty good thing going right now with Chad Kibbe and Reese Schaefer.
On the outside line, though, Levine has found some drafting help. Devin Main's tucked up to the back bumper, and more importantly, they got a 3rd car in line. That's Luke Christian pushing him along as well. As long as he can keep that air bubble up and make sure that Devin Main stays on the back bumper of Levine, they can make some headway. They can make some momentum for a lap or 2, but Lou's going to get side drafted off by the car on the bottom, and that's going to completely kill his run. Hall getting to the left rear side, sucking them back. Levine still going for it here, and Maines is trying to go with him still.
Maines can't quite keep it up. He needs to stay tucked up to Justin Levine. If Levine's going to make progress, if Maines is going to make progress, this has to be a two-man trip. There we go. Maines now finally into the bumper. Levine on Gerlach on the outside, making the pass. He's got the help he needs.
Seeing, the side draft is kind of a double-edged sword, right? It's definitely making some of this messy. And I say messy. It's just making it single file and whatever. But if you got two cars lined up to the outside, you side draft one at a time, you can pull them all off of each other to where they're not being able to push the car in front of them, and it ruins the entire line's momentum. The problem is sometimes you get guys that just throw a block on you like that, like Drew Prohl getting to the outside. Now Levine's got to get into his back bumper, because if he takes it 3 wide, they're all just going to be going backwards anyway. Coming to the white flag at stage number 1. Can that outside line get there?
Looks like Prohl wants a slice of that best he can. He's going to take the push from Levine. Big push now, getting him ahead of Reese Schaefer, or at least alongside him. If he can pull Schaefer back just a little bit before he gets here, it could be enough to push Stroll up into third.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming down the back straightaway. Last lap of stage number 1. Levine tucked under the back bumper of Drew Prohl, giving him a huge shove. Prohl coming down to side draft before we get down to turn 3. A little bit of movement from the outside line. Scott Healy gets put in the outside wall further back. Still stuck against the fence in turn 3, but up towards the race lead. Coming down to the end of stage number 1. Levine shoving Prohl out towards the lead. Now Levine ducking down to the bottom, trying to get the victory of stage number 1. It's going to be side by side, but it's going to be Justin Levine picking up the stage number 1 win. And where the hell did he come from?
Wow. Yeah, especially after getting the block from Prohl, he just took that as an opportunity to push, got ahead, got the spot, and then that 2x2 drive to the finish line was an absolute banger. Really great job from Justin Levine.
What? Dude, oh my goodness. We got some issues out here tonight. Scott Healy, this is ridiculous. We're just having Scott Healy. Coming down the back straightaway, all of a sudden, he's not touching anybody, and his left front just exploded. Like, the fender just caved in out of nowhere. And, like, he literally did not touch anybody. I don't know what in the world happened. And then coming down into the corner... Well, Scott Healy must have had an even bigger issue, because even coming down to the corner, his wheel's perfectly straight. So, he had some type of netcode issue that blew off the left front fender. And then coming down into the corner, I guess it was a whole computer failure of some sort, because the wheel was completely straight. Like, there was no movement in the wheel whatsoever, even whenever he hit the wall. So, hardware failure from the 64. I guess he finally got the wheel fixed there. But if you go on the cockpit, you're going to see that the wheel literally was perfectly still.
Oh man, that would be the second hardware related failure that we had.
Did you see the damage? Watch this damage on the left front. Where does this come from? Where'd that come from?
I have no idea. Yep, wheels straight.
Oh my goodness.
That almost looks like the wheel got disconnected. Oh no. Yep, unfortunate for Scott Healy. Bad situation to be in. Justin Levine now down in the pit for this stage break. Did Levine really take that? It was so close at the line.
Yeah. Levine got it by maybe a half a tenth of a second, if that. Maybe 4 hundredths of a second, I believe, at the line. He definitely got him by the time they got there. But this is a good move. Justin just pushing Prohl out to the lead to where he can also get clear and then gets a bump from Maines, and that basically sealed the deal for the stage 1 win. That bump from Maines coming out of 4.
Yep,
and then Levine by about half a car.
Yeah. Whoo-wee. What a drive. That's the kind of stage finish you love to see.
We're going to go ahead and take our second commercial break since we've finished up stage number 1. Whenever we come back, we're going to be starting our second and final stage of the race.
Racing Diecast 150 in the Monster Mile, and that's what the famous words of motorsports. Hey, Gabby. Driver, start, go, and go!
Welcome back to the Spartans Masters Series. Once again, we are getting ready to start stage number 2. Sorry, I'm looking at a comment in chat there from Going Dark 420. He says his hood flew up in front of him and lost steering. No mechanical issue. The damage came from a hood from the leader. I think that is Scott Healy. So apparently there was some type of internet issue where one of the leaders lost a hood and it hit him. Dude, what is going on? I've had weird internet issues this week in 2 of my 6 races I've ran, and I've not had any internet issues since I moved about a month ago until this week. So I don't know if the draft package update has ruined something with the netcode even more or what, but every time we have a little hot fix, it ends up hot breaking.
Well, it looks like that. Pardon me. It looks like in this situation, the Gremlins found their way right over to Scott Healy.
Feel bad for Healy. Last time we were at Daytona, he had a really good run going. Ended up having an issue on cold tires, coming down into, I believe it was turn 5 on the road course. Now, at least that one, you can blame yourself. You can be a little upset. Maybe you're pushing too hard, coming out of pit road on cold tires. Here, I mean, nothing Healy could do. He's just running there with 3 car lengths in front of the car in front of him and gets hit by an invisible hood. I don't know. Either way, we're starting stage number 2. Jeffrey Souza up on the pole. Chris Hudson pushing him through there on the bottom side. Hudson's going to be able to clear for second. Gerlach in third. The outside line with absolutely no cohesion at all. People trying to duck down to the bottom immediately. Devin Main's now stuck side by side with Levine as Prohl finds the bottom as well.
And there's Prohl in the bubble behind Levine. He's going to make the pass on Maines. Maines still outside in front of Kibbe. He might get a little bit of a push from the 23, but right now he's still just falling back a little bit as the outside line needs to form up before they're going to be able to be competitive. They're not in line very well, unfortunately. It looks like they're just a bit of a half V formation there on the outside.
Well, here's the problem again, right? Maines is stuck on the outside, and it's just from the restart. It's not like he made a dumb move and got out there, but just because he's on the outside, he's pulled some of these guys back. Yeah, Jorgensen, Kibbe, maybe even Christian get clear, but they side drafted each other so much that they've lost touch from the lead pack ever so slightly again. Now, the lead guys are side by side, and it looks like Jorgensen and Kibbe have that draft, and they're close enough to each other to where they're probably going to push up to them. They're going to be fine, but if those two hadn't got clear from Devin Maines, we would have 6 cars in the main pack, and the entire second pack would be, a second off of them already. So it's a little much. But Levine going back to the top side, him and Drew Prohl working together again. These two, about the only 2 that's gotten the outside to work.
That's true, and they're making the move right now on Souza, looking to come probably right back down from the top, my guess is, as soon as they've got the car lengths both. Let's see what happens. Levine, there he goes, makes the smooth move down to the inside. Prohl follows him. Gerlach, no room for you. You're still on the outside. You're going to have to work with Maines. A little bit of contact there. Looks like between Gerlach and Souza. Not enough to knock him off track.
Big stack up on the outside lane there as Gerlach got caught by Maines. Oh, yellow flag. Wrecker further back, it seems like. Not quite sure where that's happening in the pack.
Yeah, I see the name Luke Christian right now flashing across my screen. It looks like we may have also lost some of the one sim guys.
Luke Christian down on the bottom gives a shot to Kibbe. It checks him up to where the car behind just could not check up in time. He gets into the right rear, and rest in peace, Kyle Westwood's front end too. He takes a big shot. Luke Christian back down the racetrack. Now the thing is, these cars are tanks. Luke Christian's already been involved in a pretty daggum big one already tonight, and he was able to get that thing fixed and be able to be just as fast. So I imagine, as long as you don't lose horsepower, right? As long as you don't lose into the RPMs out of the engine, as long as it's idling at 2,000, you'll be fine. But man, it sucks losing all that track position.
Yeah, it does. That track position goes a long way once we get into the long run. And man, we had that long run a little bit there in stage 1. I think stage 2, it's sort of toward the end of stage 1, we started to see a little bit more of that, a little bit more bumping and grinding. And now in stage 2, that tradition has continued. So we need that long run again for a little while. So some of these guys to shake off these bumps that they've built up after stage 1.
Is JS Worship Tutorials in YouTube chat? Is that Johan? Or am I? Or is that somebody else?
Don't know. JS, Johan Seminario.
Yeah,
There you
okay,
go.
so that's Johan. I mean, somebody else wrecked in front of Johan. He's just upset because his luck at super speedways is sucky. He's mentioning that in the chat too. I mentioned that earlier, and he doesn't seem to have any luck around here. But I mean, it's just is what it is. I mean,
It's all good, Johan. You did your best. Thanks.
super speedway racing.
We appreciate you coming out and showing off a little bit, but you know, that's sometimes the dice just don't fall the way we want them to.
A lot of guys coming down pit road. Typically, you know, if you don't have enough gas to make it to the end, come down every single pit stop because you want to be able to push your run as far as possible at the super speedways. Be able to take as little fuel under green.
That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from these guys. You know, from this kind of race. You know, get down every time you get a yellow and you get a chance for a pit stop. Take it. Get that gas. Get the edge on people who don't do this, and there's not going to be anybody who doesn't.
Yeah, that's a big part. As long as, you know, just about all the field comes down with you, there's no harm to it, right?
Yeah.
Hudson and Sanchez stayed out, but everybody third on back came down pit road, so it's not like you're losing anything.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, sorry,
Which
Johan,
means
your luck is just as bad as I have heard. Just as bad as I've heard. Have you tried getting good?
I hear that usually works out for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's true. Our producer's pointing out that paint's fire, but it's missing the little Red Bull logos to the side. But you know what? We already had one Red Bull car guy that was in the fence. So, you know, the less Red Bull stickers on iRacing, probably the better.
It could be bad luck.
I don't know what it is about the Red Bull stickers, or if you got typically in NASCAR, it's a Jeff Gordon paint scheme, or you know, or even like a Dale Earnhardt Jr. paint scheme, right? It's just like, it's typically like the mega fanboys that you got to watch out for on iRacing, because they just really
They're the ones to keep an eye
for
on.
whatever reason. It's like a stereotype. Yeah, Chase Elliott cars nowadays, our producer's pointing out. It's just a stereotype nowadays, and it's kind of built on, well, you know, legitimate issues, right? And just about every time I scroll through Reddit or Twitter or whatever, and I see a crash comp or somebody doing something stupid, about 30 to 40% of the time, it's a Red Bull or a Jeff Gordon or a Dale Jr. or a Chase Elliott scheme. I don't know what it is, but which, and I'm not trying to pick on, I believe it was Sailors in that first wreck, you know, and just ridiculous style of super speedway racing sometime. I think he's trying to go side draft, but the car was in the fence, so not much more cause he could have done at the top on that one. It just so happened he has a Red Bull car, so we have to pick on him.
Yep, it's going to be the way it is. Oh, okay. Don't Blair Holloman coming in saying not to group him with the Red Bull cars. There's not a single Red Bull sticker on this car, and he painted it himself.
Hey, that's what I'm saying, Blair. That's what I'm saying. Our producer was upset that you didn't have the Red Bull stickers on that thing. But I was saying, I'm glad that you didn't put them on, because, you know, that's, for whatever reason, a magnet to Rex. I like it.
Well done. And it is a very, very good paint scheme. Got a bunch of good ones out here tonight.
Oh, now our producer's backtracking in the chat, trying to defend himself. Don't listen to him, Blair. He's lying.
We hear the truth.
I like the paint. Smart to take the Red Bull stickers off for iRacing, honestly. Very, very smart. I like them in real life, and, you know, I love Shane Van Gisbergen. He's fun to watch, but can't put Red Bull stickers on your car in iRacing. It's a bad omen.
Nope. I like that Hellman's mayonnaise is one of the stickers I can put on by default in iRacing, back before I use trading paints.
You can thank Dale Jr. for that one.
All right, I will. Next time I meet him.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
You said this is going to be your first year watching NASCAR. I've been watching it my whole life, and I haven't met him yet, so it's going to be a long shot for you.
Well, you got to work the drive-through with the right Arby's, man.
Okay, let me move to North Carolina real quick. I'll move to Mooresville, and I'll let you know how that goes.
Okay, he's got to put yourself in his path. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I'll give you that. Either. Okay, our producer says halfway through a perfect hot dog, and that's a great way to bring us back to the restart. We are halfway through the Daytona International Speedway race here, the Daytona 120 in Spartans Master Series, as we take the green flag, working lap number 60. Justin Levine in second on the back bumper of Chris Hudson as we come up to turn number 1. Levine closing that gap down to him is Sanchez filing into third, but Levine not settling for second. He wants that lead, and he wants it now.
He's going to do it without any help, too. Oh, he's going to get some. Here comes the 29 popping up. Mark Sanchez is going to help give Levine the push he needs to take first.
Levine, Sanchez, Prohl lined up on the top side of the racetrack. And look, Sanchez looking down at the bottom. He tried to make the move on Levine. Prohl able to get down to the bottom, too. I was about to say, if I'm Sanchez, I got to get past Levine. And you're right. Levine has won a good couple of races. He came from the back to the front in that stage 1 victory. You got to shuck him out of line. You know, all these guys need to start work together and get to the one's right rear and suck them back.
Yeah, they're going to try to get side by side with him. Someone needs to try to put the cars side by side and use this model against him a little bit. And Maines right now is leading the outside line, but he's not using the side draft. He's not pulling Gerlach back to push himself forward a little bit, or to pull both lines back is how it would probably end up here. But we need to see a little bit more push from Maines or from Mark Sanchez popping around before Levine's going to get slowed down.
Like we said, it's just such a double-edged sword with that side draft. If Maines does it wrong, then all of a sudden you pull your line and the line below you backwards. You got to be able to do it right. Typically through the corners is where you really want to get it. Really pinch down all the way down to that right rear quarter panel through the corners, drift up, take the run off the bottom side of the racetrack, drift it up towards the top, and then just come back down to side draft whenever you're at the right angle on them, right? Whenever you get to the next person's right rear, and then kind of swiftly come back up towards the top to avoid getting side drafted yourself. Very tough to do, and you've got to have a really, really good pusher behind you to make it work, especially on the top side of the racetrack. Right now, Souza trying to be that good pusher to Maines.
He's doing his best. Souza's staying tucked very, very well right now, and he's being the partner that Maines needs on the outside. I just hope that the two of them together can make this work. Here's a little bit of speed out of them right now. The corner's looking good. Souza's got a very solid line. He's got good visibility, too. He's just in a really good spot right now with Maines, and if you can work with him, the two of them can stay competitive here.
They are staying competitive on that outside. They're stuck side by side with Chris Hudson for the 4th place spot, and they're giving him plenty of room. They're working this top side. They've got plenty of cars up on the top side. This is probably the most organized we've seen the entire top lane so far tonight. Everybody pushing as well as they can. Maines, Souza, Schaefer, Kibbe all lined up. Single file, the front 4 on the top side, all giving good pushes through the corner, or as good as they can through the corner, and then lining up down the straight. Kibbe doing a good job just keeping the bubble up on Reese, and then Reese getting all the way to the back bumper, but not shoving the 96 through the 5. It's about as good as you can do it. It's just the back line still going backward, or the top side still going backwards.
Yeah, just a little bit. He lost that spot on Gerlach. He's going to lose that spot right now on the 60 machine of Adam Pettit. Potentially, let's see if he can maintain it. Pettit just a little bit ahead now, a half a car ahead now. It's really up to the 96 to get that push on here, and we need to see him put the nose into the bumper a little bit of Maines, and we need to see Maines handle that in order for this outside line to really gain some speed.
Bit of a stack up on the bottom side of the racetrack through 1 and 2 there, giving the outside some momentum coming down the back. They're back side by side with Chris Hudson for the 4th place spot. Maines coming down, trying to side draft a little bit, not quite low enough to really get a lot onto it, but enough to slow him down ever so slightly. Now he's side by side for 2nd with Sanchez.
There we go. That's what we like to see, that side-by-side motion. If he can put the car a little bit closer to Sanchez, a little bit closer to Levine, that outside line's going to be in even better shape. But here we go. Maybe he doesn't need to. He's high on the outside right now, and he's got the nose on him.
Levine just trying not to let him clear as they come out of the trioval and down into turn number 1. Maines might have been clear for a split second. He didn't take it. Now he's coming all the way down, trying to side draft Levine. Souza just trying to stay to the right rear quarter panel. You don't want to get to the left rear. That could turn somebody. The right rear is just a little bit safer, and then getting the run down the back straightaway. Maines and Souza are going to clear him.
Maines looking great in that turn with that side draft and then giving him the space on the straight. When do you think Maines is going to drop down, or do you think he's going to keep that push? I think he's going to stay up there for as long as he can, but he did come down earlier. Let's see if he abandons that top line.
Man, the way that I've been seeing the inside line work today so far for the majority of the race, as soon as Souza got clear, I would have gone down to the bottom with Souza, just taking him with me, and whatever happens to the top line happens to him after that. Instead, they stay committed to it. They stay up on the top side of the racetrack, but now Levine is back down to the bottom. The problem for Levine, he doesn't have much help until Reese Schaefer ducks out from the top lane. Ruins the momentum there from the 3rd car in line, and he ends up giving it to the bottom side, coming back down the back straightaway. Oh, but Sanchez gets stuck in the middle 3 wide, and that's going to be a sucker hole situation. Sanchez is just going to go backwards.
See you later. Right down the hole. There it goes. Getting flushed. Freight trained, all the analogies that we can think of. Oh, here it goes up to the outside. Able to save it just a little bit. Sanchez losing many positions, down from second now to 14th.
Yeah, he's got to get a good push here from Evan Ethel to be able to kind of bridge that gap all the way to Saucier up there in the 18 car. Let's see if they can actually bring that gap back down. We got a couple 18s in the race too, so a little confusing there as well. But that is the 18, of course, Saucier in the orange. But man, look at the outside line now. On the outside of 1 and 2, it is tanking, and it is tanking fast all the way back to 6th, maybe 7th.
Oh no, yeah, there's not a lot of cohesion there. We can see some cars looking. Maybe Chad Kibbe is saying, nope, not for me. I want the inside line now. Souza still on the outside with Maines. Can't get down. Maines still holding on to that outside line. Nowhere for him to go, unfortunately. But to hold on to that spot and to hope that he gets that push out of the 96 again, he's got to make those turns work for him.
And this is why if I was Maines and Souza, I would have taken the bottom as soon as they got clear from Levine, right? Yeah, the top line worked for you for a couple laps because you got so many cars lined up. But as soon as 2, 3, 4 cars bail on that top side, find a hole down at the bottom and take it, the outside line just completely dies. And it has completely died behind Maines and Souza, and they are just bleeding spots. And now they're stuck side by side with Kibbe. Not quite side drafting. Well, Kibbe's going to come up in side draft, which I wouldn't do if I was Kibbe. That's how you pull that's how you pull both lines back away from that main pack. And with them still side by side, they're starting to lose some ground to the front 8.
Yeah, all it takes is a side by side. Oh wow, down to the inside.
Oh, they're wrecking down the tri-oval. Oh no, the non-Red Bull car gets caught involved in it. Oh, and they're still wrecking. Sammy Harrell getting caught in the right rear, spinning back up across the racetrack in front of Evan Ethel. Poor Blair Holloman just caught in the middle of that one. But yeah, Art Nicotera just drove down to the apron and then came back onto the track and shoved somebody up into the top lane and caused the accident.
This is ABC. There he goes down. Not good. Just not good.
I don't know why he came down to the apron. And whenever he did, I don't know why he flicked it back up whenever he wasn't clear. That just, it kind of caused the entire incident. How many wrecks has Luke Christian been involved in? Oh my goodness.
But you can't reach for your, let's see here. Just try to get his spot back. And there was no spot back to get.
That's definitely not the way to do it. It is what it is. We've been seeing a lot of accidents today, but that was not a good one.
You can't reach for your big gulp in the middle of a turn, in the middle of a race like that. That's exactly what happened.
A lot of these I've been kind of wishy-washy, kind of fence riding on fault. That one is pretty clear, I believe.
Yeah. And we may not know, we may not get, maybe we'll get a little insight into what was going on there. But yeah, lost the position, tried to come back to get it. And like I said, there was no position to get. That's going to be Art Nicotera potentially out. I don't know. He might be up on the truck for the rest of the race. But that was the third for Lou Christian.
That's what it looks like whenever I start texting and driving on the sim. Like that's about exactly what it would look like. Nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and take another commercial break here. When we come back, we got 50 more laps of racing from Daytona.
You want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
With the launch of Makoni Entertainment and Makoni Competizone alongside Makoni Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MakoniSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Are you looking to add to your diecast collection? Well, visit GoatRacingDiecast.com. Explore one of the largest collections available with the options for pre-orders, new inventory, and the GOAT's personal collection for over 25 years. There's an option for every level of hobbyist. Ship direct. Personal custom diecasts are available. Shop the GOAT Racing merch store. And if you're a driver, apply for a sponsorship today. Turn your hobby into a passion and head on over and shop GoatRacingDiecast.com.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Spartans Masters Series. We got a little bit of a shakeup at the front of the field. We were talking about in the last caution, might as well come down pit road, take gas every single time you have the opportunity until you're good on gas to make it to the end. Well, somebody made a little bit of a mistake coming to get their fuel put into the car. Justin Levine, your race leader, not your race leader anymore. He decided to speed on pit road. Now he's put himself all the way to the back.
Yeah. An unfortunate place to be, but we know that sometimes is where Justin Levine can shine. He can turn that around, and he did that earlier during the race when he maneuvered his way sneakily up to the front.
He absolutely did. He's going to have to try it again. Now he's got a little bit longer to do it. 48 laps to go across the line for Reshape for getting the shove from Chris Hudson there on the bottom side of the racetrack. Reese clear as we cross the line, side by side for second. Hudson with absolutely no help on the bottom. And I take it back because the Dunkin' Donuts car says I'm going to give you a donut.
Here we go. Free donut day for Chris Hudson as that Dunkin' Donuts 98 tucks itself in. That's Christoph Hall.
Yeah, Christoph Hall trying to shove that bottom lane, doing a good job finding the inside groove, becoming the third car down there. We've seen that's typically been the better groove, but the outside line a little bit more organized for the front five cars. The entire outside giving a good shove, especially the front two there. Drew Prohl to the race lead as we come through turn 3 with a huge shove from Adam Pettit.
Pettit, wow, what a push there. And Prohl, great job with the stability after getting that push. The outside line looking beautiful right now. Very different than we've seen earlier. As Prohl tries to come down now, says, I'm done with the outside. Leaves Maines alone. Brings Pettit with him.
That's exactly what you needed to do, right? That's what we said Maines should have done last time whenever him and I believe it was the 96 got clear of Jeffrey Souza in that last run. Oh, got a blinker on the top groove. That's not going to help the top groove whatsoever with Saucier blinking in and out there through 1 and 2. He's back on the back bumper of Maines. But Prohl and Pettit doing what we said you needed to do. If you get clear on the outside, go back down to the inside. We know the inside's better.
It's true. It really is. As proven here, as soon as they went down, that killed the cohesion of the outside line. Left Maines out there, Devin Maines out there, a man alone a little bit. He had a little bit of help, but 2 cars ain't going to do it.
Side by side here between Gerlach and Maines. The outside line lined up a little bit better. Saucier all over the back bumper, shoving Maines. Gerlach has a good draft from in front, though. Just no help from behind. Maines trying to side draft down the straightaway before we get down to the turn number 1. Saucier having to let that thing breathe through the corner ever so slightly, as these guys just trying to stay in touch with your leaders who are single file.
There's a second pack there in the back. We see a little bit of separation between the 2 groups now as we're coming down here through the back stretch and a few cars further back. This is going to happen a little bit. We've got some more race. We got another half a race, almost another stage 1 ahead of us. So there still is going to be a lot of racing, but this separation is going to happen. Let's see if anybody can tighten things up as the fuel strategies start to kick in.
I'm going to tell you right now, the issue is going to come from the lead, right? Drew Prohl coming off these corners is washing up off the corner. Instead of holding that bottom line, he is leaving an entire car width's worth of racetrack down below him, down the straightaways. And look, whenever the bottom is this powerful, you can't do that. You can't let somebody have the bottom on you because they're just going to take it. I'm surprised Pettit hasn't yet.
It's true. Pettit looks hungry enough for it. Just a minute ago, we saw Chad Kibbe just about a little bit of action there. He maintained control of the car. It's a little further back. Here comes Maines with a hell of a drive.
Corey Saucier all over the back bumper down the back straightaway. Prohl thinking about coming up to block. It's going to be too late. Maines coming down to side draft. And now side by side for the race lead with that outside line moving.
There's the cohesion we're looking for. There's the push on the outside. 7 cars strong. 8 cars strong.
Prohl still washing up ever so slightly off the bottom of the racetrack. He's got to be painting that yellow line. Painting the yellow line is the way to go. Instead, the front 2 are going to clear for the race lead. Saucier comes down. Maines comes down. And finally, the outside line showing some fight.
Maines, no. Maines, no. There we go. Maines came down for a second. Then he abandoned the inside line for the outside again. It's going to cost him first place. He's going to be tight side by side with Saucier. Saucier getting the big push from Prohl. Maines just should have stuck down on that yellow line, I think. He really should have popped back up for what he saw was going to be a block maybe. Not worth it. He had the speed.
Yeah, you know, the old draft package might still be stuck in his head a little bit, right? It's a lot of blocking in that old package. Take whatever lane has the momentum, go up, block it, come down, block the next one, go up, block the next one. Here, he might just be better holding off the bottom for most of the race, but Maines has done good on the top side. He's been a good leader of the top side of the racetrack. He's gotten clear twice tonight, which I believe is more than anybody else. It's just both times he's stayed more committed to the top, which I still don't agree with.
Yeah, I'm not. I've been impressed, but I also haven't agreed. Exactly as you just put it. Very, very impressive. Leading that top line can be tough. It feels like right behind him, they want to put him into the center. They want to, flush him down, and he's just not letting him. He's got the outside. He drifts just enough down to avoid getting taken out of contention or getting pushed down to the center. But he needs to use. He just needs to maintain his speed a little bit more consistently, and he would be in contention for first place.
Instead, he's stuck side by side for about the 5th place spot, dropping back to side by side with Christoph Hall in the number 98. So the outside line starting to hurt ever so slightly. I think McRae might be overheating a little bit on the top side of the racetrack as we come out of turn number 2. Levine has found himself back into the top 10 there. He's about the 8th car in line on the bottom, so about 11th or 12th place, I should say. A bit of a stack up from the inside line, though, as Maines trying to side draft again on the 98, trying to bring that top side along with him.
James McRae looks like he's looking for a way to get around Maines. I'm not sure if he'll be able to, though, or if it'd even be in his benefit, because as soon as he tries, if he doesn't have the position, Maines has to be out of position. And if that happens, he might get his shot, but he's not going to be able to make a move until Maines either makes a mistake or he makes a move down to the inside line.
Outside line still doing okay, right? They just keep accordion, right? They go backwards, they go forward, go backwards, go forward. I mean, it's just not consistent to the outside, but here comes Reese Schaefer, 4th car from the inside. He's going to go up and bring that top side with him.
Let's see what happens there now. Prohl and Saucier out front. Schaefer on the outside, side by side with the 60 machine. Pettit says no. Hudson says no. Schaefer falls back a little bit. He's side by side with Hudson. There's no room down on the inside, so he's going to have to use the spot he's got. Big push from Maines.
Maines all over the back bumper of Reese Schaefer. They've got a head of steam down the front straightaway. Not going to be enough to get side by side for the lead. They just get to the right rear quarter panel of Drew Prohl through 1 and 2. They're going to pull him back off of the back bumper of Saucier, putting Corey on an island for a moment. Prohl trying to get back to the back bumper as we get to the back straightaway off of turn number 2. But Maines just with a better push coming off the corner to Reese Schaefer. Reese trying to get clear before we get down to 3, but finally Prohl hooks up with the 18 and they're flying on the bottom.
That was a good push from Maines. He had just enough momentum to give it to Corey Saucier. Saucier tried to use it to maintain, but as soon as we got into that turn, they just fell off a little bit. Here on the straight, though, it's going to be Schaefer on the outside by a nose just for a second.
Still side by side up at the front of this field. 39 laps to go. Reese Schaefer trying to take that race lead away. Devin Maines, he's been one of the better leaders of a line, and he's been one of the better pushers of the line in that number 5 all night long. Tucked up to the back bumper of the 97 as we fly down the back straightaway. The outside line is moving.
Saucier losing a little bit of speed there. The 9 of Jeffrey Goodpaster. NWO Machine makes its way into 4th place. We haven't seen him yet. He's up 33 places. The hardest charger in tonight's race so far.
Yeah, we know he's a good pastor. Is he also a good racer? We're about to find out. Up in the top 5. Good pastor to the top. In front of Kyle Westwood. Can Westwood give him the shove he needs? He had Levine behind him, so I thought that top side was going to go, but Levine left him up high and dry. But he's going to go back to the top. He's going to side draft Corey Saucier and try to bring the top with him.
I don't know, maybe bring the top with him is a little bit generous, because here comes Drew Prohl, and it feels like Levine is really just trying to use that side draft as he makes his way back down to the inside line. He just wanted that side draft for a second. I'm not so sure that he's ready to lead the outside line.
Maybe not yet, but he has gotten himself up into 5th, and he's going to go outside again. Side drafting Kyle Gerlach on the bottom side of the racetrack. He's going to pull the 75 off of the top 3. They have a little bit of a shakeup up here towards the top 3 too. Levine all the way down, and now Devin Maines throwing a huge block up to the top side of the racetrack in front of Levine. Reese Schaefer has lost his help. Instead, Levine's going to go down to the bottom behind Schaefer and give him a shove.
Wow, that's some teamwork right there. This has been quite the shakeup here at the front. I didn't think there was going to be enough room for Levine to make all these lane changes, but he has found opportunity after opportunity to make his way forward. And as we said, he started in the back. He got an end of line during that last pit stop, and now he's in 2nd.
Reese Schaefer still leading the way here on the bottom side. Justin Levine tucked up to that back bumper, trying to push him clear the rest of the pack. James McRae running in the 3rd place spot, still clear of the top side, so if he wants it, he could take it. But the back, or the top side, starting to slide back. Now, Devin Maines not getting the push that he needs from Prohl.
No, not quite. Schaefer down to the inside line, across the yellow line for a brief second there. Up on the outside, Maines and Prohl getting the push. Goodpaster there as well, falling back a little bit. Maines doing his thing. Can he get them back to the front?
Top side just having to cool themselves off. We see Lou Christian down there, a battered and bruised race car. Honestly surprised he's still in this thing with how many wrecks that poor guy has been in during this thing. Came oh so close to winning just a week ago in that fuel mileage race. Just ran out of time. And unfortunately today has not been any better for Lou Christian. Going a lap down right here is Schaefer, Levine, McRae, all funnel around the outside.
Here they go. Oh, a little bit of traffic. Saucier having to jerk around there and get a quick move around Lou Christian. Just a touch of left traffic. Prohl down to the inside. He's going to go down from the top line, leave that car alone, leave Maines on his own. Saucier, he's in the middle now, putting it 3 wide. Is he getting flushed? A little bit.
That's going to be the sucker hole for Saucier. He's going to have to find a hole quick. Oh, instead, a couple guys end up going with him in the bottom side. They're going to hang Devin Maines out.
What? Oh, man. Devin Maines on the outside by himself. That's going to cost him a little bit of speed there as Saucier is down to the 60 machine once again on the inside line. Saucier 3 wide. Maines on the outside, side by side, moving back in the pack.
Oh, sketchiness up in front. Kyle Hudson down to the apron. Almost got caught up in an incident. But this group, they've let the front 4 pull away. We've seen the side drafting in the, I don't know, the people trying to race like you would normally race, now hurting them like we saw in that first stage because the front 4 are gone.
Yep. They are now on their own race, a little ways ahead here. Almost a full 2-second gap between the top 4 and Drew Prohl. Or a 1.5 second gap, excuse me.
We're just going to have to wait and see that gap. 1.8 seconds over Drew Prohl currently. The problem for Drew and the rest of that second pack, it's not like their pack is any more lined up than the front pack. They've got 5 cars, but it's really 3 cars lined up decent, and then 2 cars a ways off of them. So that gap has stretched a 1/10 of a second through 1 and 2. It was 1.8, now we're up to 1.9, and down the back straightaway, Prohl's getting a good push. The problem is Schaefer's getting a better push.
Yep, and here comes Christoph Hall. He's trying to stay tucked in there to give that push that's necessary to get these guys up to that front pack of 4. We'll see if he can. Behind him, he's got Scott Schroeder. Hall has put on a very good race tonight so far, I think. He's been pretty consistent. He's up 7 from where he started right now. He's had good, clean lines. He's been a good draft partner. And right now, he's just trying to make this pack of 4 competitive. Pack of 5, I guess. Excuse me. Pack of 5 competitive.
A little bit of bad news, a little bit of good news for that second pack. The bad news, obviously, the fact that they kind of separated, and now Good Pasture going to go to the back. I think he was overheating, so he's trying to give it to the next car in line. We've seen that work in the past. Don't know if it's going to work with this package. He's going to have to try to hang on to the back of this pack now. Looks like he's going to be able to do that. But ultimately, it lost him time. I mean, it was about 2 seconds whenever they pulled the switch. Now it's 2.7, right? But the good news is they got a decent gap to the next pack. So, well, I say that. They ruined a little bit of that with that switch, right? These guys are starting to catch them. Maybe it makes the pack big enough to where they can catch the leaders. My suspicion is that they'll get side by side and pull them even further off of the main pack, though. So this might be the end of the race if we don't see a yellow for everybody fifth on back.
We got 30 laps left to figure that out as this group of 4 heads down to the back straight, takes things away. Everybody shuffles in behind to see what's up. 2.5 seconds off that pace. Going down, it looks like Drew Prohl is leading his own little group now. Behind him, Mark Sanchez, not quite close enough for the push. Yeah, this little group has split up a little bit here. Back on the front, Levine giving the push to Schaefer. The
30 laps to
together.
go. The entire field single filed out. A couple groups passing or catching each other. So how about we go ahead and take a little bit of a rev it up segment. Start out on board with Chris Hudson as he's catching the pack in front. See whether he stays in line or whether the second pack gets side by side. But we're going to go ahead and move over to that rev it up segment. Let you guys hear the sights and sounds of the Daytona International Speedway. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the sounds of the Daytona International Speedway as these guys ripping around it all single file trying to catch that main pack. Last time around, the leader of the second pack, Drew Prohl, was 3.7 seconds behind the leaders here, but it looks like, did Schaefer have a moment, or are they just giving Levine a chance to breathe since he had been pushing Reese this entire time? Either way, it's going to cost him some time to that second pack.
Just a little bit. That second pack is now a little bit tighter than things were. Actually, no, they're a little bit further out, actually. It looks like they're still 4.5 seconds out. I thought they were getting a little bit closer there. That shake up toward the front just a little bit. Not enough to really cut that gap down.
No, not really. Can we switch the best lap back over to the intervals? See, well, now with them With them shaking up like that in the second pack, it's going to hurt them even more. Yeah, 5.3 now. Goodness gracious, they swapped the leader of the main pack, and somehow they're pulling on this second pack. I mean, goodness gracious. The front four are flying. Actually, the front four are coming down pit road.
Yeah, it's a team effort here to get down pit road and take advantage of getting probably the last burst of fuel they'll need, I think. We've got 25 laps to go, and we know that that's about how much gas is in the car.
Yeah, remember, that's whenever Sammy Harrell ran out, right? Was on lap 25 coming to his pit stop during stage number 1. So we're going to be right on the edge of the fuel window. And in all seriousness, you're not going to want to be leading one of these packs. If you're leading, you're going to be burning more fuel. This could turn into a fuel mileage race.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see how this wraps up now. This particular decision for things to happen at this time has changed the nature of the end of this race.
Yep, when the racing package sucks, we rely on fuel mileage to give us a good finish. Thank you, NASCAR. Not iRacing. iRacing did a great job emulating how terrible this package is. So thank you, NASCAR.
Since iRacing won't add power-ups or item boxes, we
well,
have to
I
make
hope
the
they
best
don't.
with what we got.
We have Mario Kart for a reason. Drew Prohl speeding on pit road, so he's having to sit in his box. So unfortunate for him. Did Levine fall off this main pack?
Yeah, he's still in. He took longer in the pits than the rest of the pack did by about 5 seconds.
Oh no, Justin Levine dropping off that main pack, and now he's on an island all by himself. That's not good. 14.4. Did he take 4 tires? Why would he do that? Why would he? Okay, so your race leader decided to take 4 tires for some reason. So he sped on pit road and took 4 tires on pit road whenever other people either took 2 or fuel only. So Levine not having a great day behind the old forehead, it seems.
Not right now. That was baffling decision making, considering the position that he was in. But it's going to be again. You know what? He came from end of line last time, took first place. Let's see what happens.
Okay, yeah. But coming end of line in a huge pack is at least feasible. Catching 3 cars whenever you're a solo car is not feasible. Well, he's got some friends now. So maybe.
That's fair.
It's just, can he push hard enough, basically?
Yeah,
Can he get Sousa all over the back bumper of Zodiac, and can they just shove the ever-living hell out of each other to make up 8 seconds in 23 laps, and can they save enough gas to make it to the end as well?
Let's find out. Hopefully there's no yellows involved. That'd be the only thing I could think of that would stack these guys up at this point. But to make up that distance, it's going to take someone making these big pushes and encouraging a whole line to drive faster than they think that they can.
The good news for these guys, and they have a few more cars in their pack than the main pack, only 3 cars in the front group. This one has 5 or 6, that second pack trying to catch them, one of those being a lap car. So if they can all get hooked up, lined up together, make some headway, they'll be okay-ish. It's just, is that gap too big, right? It was 8 seconds at the beginning of last lap. They all got sorted out. They've cut it 2/10 since then. It's just, they're going to need to catch a lot more than 2/10 per lap to make it work.
It's true. And we've got about 21 laps to go to see if the prophecy will be fulfilled. So the prophecy.
Well, the prophecy was already fulfilled. Johan got wrecked out of a super speedway.
Yeah. You got me there. That was the one that was written in stone.
Mm-hmm.
By Ed Stromdamus.
It was the 11th commandment.
The 11th commandment. And Johan Seminario shall wreck himself on a super speedway.
We're just evil. Nonetheless, as we've gotten the field, I was about to say relatively spread out. They're spread out, right? We're all running single file, running around. 21 laps to go. We're going to go ahead and step aside, take our final commercial break of the racing action. When we come back, we're taking it to the Checkered.
Goat Racing Diecast, sponsor of the Warrior League Goat Racing Diecast 150 and the Monster Mile, and that's what the famous words of those words. Hey, Gabby. Driver, start, go, and go!
Welcome back to the conclusion of the Spartans Master Series, and I got to point out that second pack is coming. They were 8 seconds down whenever they came out of pit road. They've cut it all the way down to 5 seconds off of the race leaders, the 3 leaders up at the front, not doing a great job staying together, not doing a great job pushing, while this pack of 5 cars is absolutely flying. They've switched up who's leading that that first pack. Reese Schaefer now up to the front of it, trying to get the shove rather than give it. Gonna have to wait and see if that helps these guys out whatsoever. Coming through turn 4, though, gap down to 4.8.
The core of that 5-car pack is got a heavy dose of vitamin Levine, as it were. And as soon as it looks like Justin got himself into that pack, the rest of the cars started working with him a little bit to really drive a little harder. Souza's been taking several good hits from Levine to get a push out in front. Zosiak has been working with that as best he possibly can as well, taking advantage of the good air that he's got. He's got to really drive through it all. And he's got to take pushes from both Souza and the push that's going to come through from Levine. So it's really been a matter of cooperation between these top 3 cars in this pack of 5 to get these guys to where they are.
They've got another 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second off of it coming out of turn number 4. Oh, Levine going to the outside. I think they're pulling a little switcheroo here. It looks like Souza's trying to lip. Maybe not. It looks like Levine was trying to get there so that he could be the pusher, but this is just going to drag him back.
No, maybe he's got that side draft working for him because now he's almost side by side with Zosiak, still taking a bit of a wide move up into the turn here, almost up into the wall. I think he might be falling back to the end of the line.
Yep. He's just trying to do it in a way that won't side draft them all back. The problem is that cost him 7/8 of a second. And maybe he didn't mean to get to the outside. Maybe it was just, they're all pushing hard, pushing aggressively, and just bit off a little bit more than he could shoot through the middle of the corner, but it ends up hurting these guys.
Yeah, well, let's hope that a little bit of that inspiration, a little bit of that driving inspired Souza. If that's the case, then these guys will continue to make up time. Right now, they're still about 4 seconds off the lead. We'll see if that increases or decreases. It was decreasing, so now time will tell. We've only got less than 15 laps to go.
Now Hudson and Levine to the outside. Well, and it's almost like they're giving up at this point. If they're side by side like this right now and continue to drag them back, it's over. There's nothing. There's nothing they can do, right? I know that they've made this move and they haven't lost any ground yet. It's going to take Zosiak and Souza just letting these guys get at the front of the pack and hope that they push better than they do for them to have any type of chance. But you see now side by side for the front of the pack, and that's what they're doing. They're lifting, letting them through. They're trying to switch it around, see who passes the best. And honestly, they didn't lose any time on that switch. Levine pushing them through. They actually gained about 1/10. I don't know how, but somehow they've managed it. Now Levine all over the back bumper of Hudson. 15 laps to go. Is there enough time to claw 5 seconds out of the race lead?
It's only one way to find out, and that's to keep driving until you see God or the checkered flag, like he said back in the day. Was
last
that Ross
year?
Chastain?
No.
Yeah. So long ago.
Andy Janasiak or something in the ARCA race at Daytona, either last year or the year before that.
Yeah, I know it wasn't that long ago, but the way that memory goes these days, I got a very short attention span.
Back in the day.
With this pack of 5 here. Feels like back in the day, man. It's been a long year and it's only February. Give me some credit. This pack of 5 is doing their best. They are still making up time. They are down to 3.5 seconds off of the top pack now.
Yeah, they literally caught him a second that lap. They put Hudson and Levine up to the front of the pack, and all of a sudden they have taken off. It's like a rocket ship has just blown out of Cape Canaveral. This is ridiculous. Levine shoving that number 43, trying to get to the front of the field, down to 3.5 seconds. They are moving right now. Your race leaders last time by, Reese Schaefer ran a 47 flat, 47.0. Justin Levine ran a 45.97, pushing Chris Hudson. And you got to think, there's a little bit of fuel saving going on too, right? Remember, we were right on the edge of the fuel window. Is that lead pack having to save a little bit with them having less cars in the pack?
That's a very good question. If fuel is in the equation for the lead pack, and I'm positive it is at this point, they have to be thinking about it as we get down to the last 10 laps here. Remember, most of these guys ended up taking fuel with only 25 laps to go. There's only 25 laps in the car. So if you're joining us now, it's going to be an exciting end of the race. If you've been with us the whole time, you know what that means.
We might have some people running out of gas on the last lap like we had last week, right? Last week it was Justin Levine from second going at it with Johan, who barely had enough gas himself. This week, it's all of the top
Almost
8,
everyone.
right? Anybody
Yeah.
in the top 8 could run out of gas, and I would not be surprised.
Yeah, it's almost anyone. Almost anyone. And the only thing that we don't get is a fuel gauge here up on our up in the box. So we just have to keep an eye on the cars and see how things go. Out in front, Chris Hudson, look at this view. Beautiful as the sun sets on Daytona, the asphalt gleaming. He can see the cars ahead of him. He's hungry for it. He can feel the energy behind him, giving him the inspiration to go forward. There's Levine, hungry like the wolf, just not letting go of the tail of Chris Hudson.
It's down to 2 seconds. I mean, they are absolutely freaking moving in that second pack. Reese Schaefer with a 46.7 that time, so he got a little bit quicker. He got half a second quicker. The problem is Levine also got 0.2 of a second quicker himself. So, well, they were about a second quicker before. Now only 0.7 of a second. Well, if you do the math, they're going to be there in 2 laps. So, not enough time for Reese Schaefer, Gerlach, and McRae to just run away with this one up in the lead. It's gonna come down to all 8 of these guys. Hudson, Levine, Zosiak, they're all gonna get in it.
They demanded there be a decisive finish to this race. They demanded there be an exciting finish to this race. These 5 cars said, "You are not cutting us out. We have plenty left to say, and we found the 2 cars that are going to lead us up to you to do it." That's the 43. That's the one. They've got the speed clearly, and here they come up on the lap car. They're getting ready to challenge the leaders.
And this run that they have down the back straightaway is going to put them side by side with the car that's 4th in line. That's Medina. He's a lap down, so not for position, the first car here on the inside. Levine trying to get some air, ducking out to the inside ever so slightly. Kevin Zosiak going to go with him. Jeffrey Souza right in line. Christoph Hall also staying with that second pack of cars that has run down this lead group from 8 seconds back since the pit stop. It only took them 15 laps. Levine all over the back bumper of Hudson as we cross the stripe, and they're side by side for 3rd. Now 2nd as we go down to turn number 1.
Second? Who said anything about second? They're in 1st now. Chris Hudson taking it. Levine behind him. Are they going to abandon that top line now? They're going to come down. They're going to say, "Sayonara. We're in charge. We're on the inside. This race is ours."
Now it's all about who has enough fuel, who's done enough fuel saving to be able to make it down to the checkered flag. Can everybody in this pack make it, or are we going to have to see some fuel saving? I'm looking at guys like Schaefer, who's led the pack the entire way, or Chris Hudson, who's led that second pack since about the halfway point of this run. Can they make it on gas to the end, or are they going to have to duck out of line, kind of get in the middle of the pack and do some fuel saving themselves?
Now, my main question here is Zosiak. Is he going to be able to maintain the tradition that he's had so far? Is this pack of 3 going to be able to stay competitive with a bit of side drafting, or are they going to find a spot to slide in, or are they going to have to get into the end of this line here?
It's going to be tough. Souza not quite on the back bumper here. A little bit wide, too. There's a little bit of side draft that you get off of the wall, right? There's some air that gets pinched in between the car and the wall that then flows onto your rear spoiler and will just drag you back. And unfortunately, I think it's done that a little bit for those guys on the top lane. Not only that, but Christoph Hall is ducked out to the bottom. Now Jeffrey Souza ducking back down to the bottom, and here comes Kevin Zosiak as well. So the top side dies out. Coming to 8 laps to go. Can they build up the run again?
That was the right move. I think that was the right move for all 3 of them. They had just enough room. Zosiak thankfully had enough room and enough wherewithal at the moment to make the move. Come on down, get in line. We've got less than 10 laps to go, guys. Let's see if you can get some of that draft on, that rear right, and make a move. Try to shake up the top 10 a little bit, or play it safe. Let's run it to the end.
These guys have a 25-second lead over the rest of the lead lap, and that group is led by Mark Sanchez. He's running in the 9th place position, but like I said, they're a whole half a lap behind. Your leaders are going down into turn number 3. These guys in the short chute between the start-finish line and turn number 1. So unless the yellow flag comes out, they have absolutely no opportunity. It's just going to come down to these 8 right here. Take Medina out of the group, and you've got 8 cars all running for that checkered flag. Medina being the guy in the Marlboro red cigarette scheme back there, about 6 car in line. So he's the only one not really involved in this race for the win, just kind of along for the ride.
That's right. Right now, Chris Hudson is wondering, when is Justin Levine going to take his bite? When is he going to make the move to the right rear? That we've seen him make this move 5, 6 times tonight, 7 times tonight, and it's owned positions every time that he's done it. Chris Hudson's got to wonder, when is Justin Levine going to make that move?
I've learned time and time again this week, you don't want to be leading coming to the white flag. You are an absolute sitting duck. Even if you got a teammate, somebody just builds a run on the outside, all of a sudden you get 3-4 cars training by. It just takes one side draft on the guy pushing you, and all of a sudden your help's gone, and you get suckered backwards. So honestly, if I'm Chris Hudson, I'm nervous. I'm scared. Yeah, you got 6 laps to go, and you're leading this thing, but it is dangerous to be leading these things late because the drag on these cars, I've been talking about it time and time again, as soon as your help abandons you, you go backwards.
Yeah, and when you got a target on your back and you get no help, that's going to be twice the dangerous situation. Chris Hudson has a target on his back right now, a massive one. So he's going to have to play a little bit of a defensive strategy here. Probably not throw any blocks, but he's going to have to drive like hell to stay away from the clutches of Justin Levine, especially as we get down to the line.
It's one of those things I don't want to get too excited because Chris Hudson was my race pick. But like I said, I've just ran too many of these this week. I just know that lead spot is not where you want to be, unless maybe you're on a green-white checker. But even then, it's just so easy to get left at some point. Down the back straightaway on the first lap, coming down to the turn number 1 or turn 3 on the second lap of the green-white checkered. And, well, whenever you're all at speed the entire time, just a line of 8 cars, it's just about a game of blocking. Can Chris throw the right blocks at the right time without hooking himself into the wall or down to the apron? That's what it's going to come down to. The problem for him, too, he's got 2 teammates behind him, right? Chris Hudson up in the race lead, doesn't have a teammate in sight, but Levine and Schaefer are working together.
Right now, Schaefer knows the game to play. He's got to give his teammate a little bit of room to make his play. Because if he can, it'll get both of them on the podium guaranteed, as they are right now, but it'll give them the win. And that's another team win. That'd be another team win that they could chalk up and put under their belts here as they cross the line coming down into 1. Everyone is tense. There is a lot of tension in the air. I can kind of see it in the driving. I can sort of feel it from the drivers on the road. I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm gotta admit, I'm getting a little bit of goosebumps here in my seat.
Still stacked up single file, 4 laps to go. 3.5 down the back straightaway. It looks like Zosiak kind of breathing off the back bumper of the lap car ever so slightly, a little bit further at the back, maybe trying to build a run to take to the outside with the 2 guys behind him, but just has not been able to build up any sort of momentum with Jeffrey Souza behind him at the moment. They're trying to just lay off ever so slightly, right? Giving about 2-3 of a second to the car in front and trying to roll up towards them, but they just haven't gotten a big enough run to really be able to make the move that they need. But here it is, down the front straightaway. Zosiak's going for it, and here comes Souza with him.
They want to get around that lap car there. Here they are on the outside. These 3 working hard. Christoph Hall looking good. Souza, Zosiak, the 3 cars together. If they can get a little bit tighter down, maybe pester Gerlach a little bit, they might be able to get some speed out of that line, separate them a little bit, find some spots, but they may not have to.
Oh my. This run down the back straightaway, Kevin Zosiak getting a huge shove from Souza. I thought they were too high up the racetrack, but instead, they're going to fly right by to the race lead. 2 of them clear as we come down to turn 3. Can Hall get clear as well? All over the back bumper of Souza. The inside line just got absolutely destroyed down the back straightaway. Where did these guys come from? How did they build that run? All 3 of them clear, coming to 2 laps to go.
They all clear and they all mix up the inside line. We got Hudson to the outside now. Levine stays on the inside. That top 3 group, it felt like they all just found their cans of spinach all at the same time and took them. They flew to the front of the line. And now they are in charge of this race. Zosiak, Souza, Hall leading Levine down into the back stretch with 2 to go.
Oh my goodness, can the front 3 stay together the way that they are right now? Because it's working out like crazy for him. Chris Hudson going to duck down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Oh, I see a pitting in sign from Chris Hudson. Chris Hudson has just put in the chat that he's pitting in this time. He doesn't have the fuel to make it to the end. Coming to the white flag, the 43 is going to have to pit from 5th.
Unfortunate. We're going to see it happen again, though. Watch for another car potentially to come down. The white flag is going to wave, and we're going to see that going to be Kevin Zosiak across the line with the top 3. And now here come the side drafts. Let's see what happens.
It's taken us a while to get here. 120 laps up on the board. The final lap out right now. Souza's separated from Zosiak, but on the top side, Levine's got a huge push from Gerlach coming down the back straightaway out of turn number 2. Can they stay hooked together with this run the same way we just saw a couple laps ago? Zosiak's not going to block. He didn't even go up to try to block it. It's just going to be Levine and Gerlach on the outside. And can Gerlach make a move as we come through turns 3 and 4 for the final time tonight? All over the back bumper of Justin Levine with some help from James McRae. Who's it going to be? Coming out of turn number 4 here at Daytona. Gerlach not making a move. He's staying plastered to the back bumper of Levine. He can't make it. Not even to the back bumper. It's going to be a Levine across the line to win from Daytona.
What a race from Justin Levine. Kyle Gerlach, what a push from him. James McRae across the line. It looks like in third. Zodiac playing that very clean. Keeping that very clean. Gerlach keeping that very clean. No big wreck at the end there. Still a strong couple of final laps. We only saw one car fall to the fuel curse. It looks like some of these guys might be having it right now. But that was a breathtaker there at the end.
Gerlach pushed Levine to the lead, but as soon as they got off of turn number 4, they just got separated. Gerlach fell off the back bumper ever so slightly rather than being able to drive up to the right rear and side draft Levine back. And at that point, he didn't have the help from behind. McRae was there, but he went to Gerlach's bumper to give him a big enough shove. So Levine just ran away with it out of turn number 4. And a good recovery after they had just gotten past a couple laps to go. You thought that Levine, Schaefer, Hudson ended up being out of it completely because he didn't have enough gas, but you saw those guys fall back and you thought, wow, this is over. It's going to be, Zodiac or Souza that's going to come away with this one, but instead Levine finds the run with Gerlach and they end up coming home first and second with James McRae in third and Levine coasting it around. Maybe enough, not any gas. He's just trying to whip this thing around to give us a little half burn out across the Daytona symbol here on the infield and bring that thing to a stop. Oh, no, he's trying to get it going.
Whoop.
I think that's it. I think he ran out there. Yep, that's going to be it for the one. But we're going to go through a full field rundown here at the end of the Daytona 120. Justin Levine, your race winner. Kyle Gerlach in second. James McRae in third. Kevin Zodiac fourth. Jeffrey Souza in fifth. Reese Schaefer, Christoph Hall, Dakota Jorgensen, Scott Schroeder, and Adam Patet round out the top 10.
Going on into 11th, we have Chad Kibbe, then Mark Sanchez, Devin Maines, Chris Hudson, Kyle Westwood, Jeffrey Goodpaster, Art Nicotera, Jake Hickson, Lou Christian, and in 20th, PB Henry.
21st was Drew Prohl, 22nd, Corey Saucier, 23rd, Devin Mayberry, Charles Van Schack, and Kayla Mitchell round out the top 25. Jose Medina in 26th, Sammy Harrell 27th, Evan Ethel in 28th, Cody Curran in 29th, and Blair Holloman round out the top 30.
And for the last set, we have Jordan Sailors 31st, Scott Healy 32nd, James Staples 33rd. It looks like, whoop, my list has gone away. 33rd. Let me just round out the rest of the list here. Joseph Causey, Dave Fuchs Jr., Johan Seminario, Colton Garner, Dave Salter, Cody Riggs, and finally, in last place, it was Robert Bisal Jr.
So after that 120 lap race from the Daytona International Speedway, we're going to go ahead and get interviews with our top 3 finishers, searching through our channels, trying to find James McRae, see if he's anywhere in the Discord. Looks like I have finally found him. So we're going to go ahead and move up James to the broadcast booth. Hey, James, you got a copy, bud?
Yes, sir.
James, it was a good third place finish from you here tonight. The field honestly spread out pretty significantly all through the race, just about off of every restart, right? A lot of single file, a lot of guys side drafting, pulling each other back. What was it like out there with the new drafting model, the new draft package? And did you learn anything through the night that was able to bolster you up to that third place finish?
Honestly, I didn't even know there was a new draft package or anything. I haven't really paid attention. Actually, this is my third race back. I took a big break from iRacing for a few months, so I was just learning the whole time. Well,
that's a pretty good answer.
In the rhythm of things.
It's a good way to come back to iRacing. Didn't even know that the draft package changed, and you end up finishing in the top 3 up on the podium, able to separate yourself from a good chunk of the field in that last green flag run. Coming to the checkered just ever so slightly off of Gerlach's bumper. What were you thinking coming through 3 and 4? Did you think you had a shot at it?
What I was thinking is I probably should have fell to the back and saved a little fuel, a little more, like an extra half a lap or so of fuel, and maybe I could have put myself in front of him. Who knows?
Well, James,
but I didn't have the momentum. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, you're good. You're good. I thought that was the end of your answer there. But nonetheless, James, it was a great finish for you tonight. Like you said, third race back, able to come home in the third place position. Great night for you. Do you have anybody to thank at the end of this one?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Adam, Rev Racing, and you guys putting on the show. And my mom out there watching. And any sponsors and stuff, I forget.
Well, you're just coming back, so we're gonna let you slide with that one. No big deal on that one, James. But like I said, congratulations on the third place tonight. Looking forward to see if you come back around next week and can continue the good runs.
Oh yeah, I'll be here.
Sounds good. Looking forward to seeing you next week whenever we go racing again then, James.
Alrighty, thank you guys.
All right, that was your third place finisher of James McRae. Next up, we're going to pull up second place, and that's going to be Kyle Gerlach. He's going to be standing side by side with Joe LaCastro.
Hey there, Kyle. How you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic, boys. I got a P2. Oh, what a
P2.
race. What a race.
And it looks good for you, too. You're up 9 places from where you were. You kind of avoided getting caught up in any of the big ones there. How did the end of that race feel for you?
The end of the race was great. The car felt great. I knew Levine was fast. He had side drafted me a couple times, and when I seen him punch out, I was like, I'm just going to stay behind him because he's going to go. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, there was a couple of times there where he was able to work that right rear tire a little bit. And was there a moment during the finish where you thought maybe I could throw this block here, or was it pretty much just gonna let him have the pass here?
Yeah, I was gonna let him have it, honestly. He had side drafted me twice, held me back, and I didn't know if I could take him, but I gave it everything I had, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you came out with a fantastic second place finish out of that. So congratulations again. Very good. Are you looking forward to next week?
Maybe. If I get this kind of a finish, heck yeah. Heck yeah. We said some shout outs to my brother, my niece, my mom, all my daughters, and my son. Thank you guys, and thank you the viewers for watching. Thank you guys for the broadcasters for being here. This is it's a great series.
Oh, we have a lot of fun casting it, and we're looking forward to seeing you at Atlanta, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Kyle. That was Kyle Gerlach, our second place finisher. I'm going to pass it back to Austin. He's going to take it away with our first place.
I absolutely love whenever we have people come up here and have that much excitement. You know that it means a lot to them whenever they do that, and I freaking love that more than anything. So congratulations to Kyle Gerlach on the second place finish. Great run for Kyle. That's one of the better interviews that we've had in a while. So big congratulations.
Yeah.
To Kyle. For whatever reason, I can't pull up people from the waiting room, so I'm going to need my producer to do that maybe, so that we can get Justin Levine up in the booth. Somehow, the guy that sped on pit road, the guy that took 4 tires whenever he didn't need to take 4 tires, the guy that got netcode damage and had to sit in pit road for 30 extra seconds on one of the pit stops, somehow win stage 1 and stage 2. Justin, how the hell did you do it?
Ryko power, baby. This car is chugging.
Well, it definitely seemed like it out on the racetrack. You cut that deficit down from 8 seconds to nothing in 15 laps with that second pack once you got hooked up with them. Obviously, you were third car in line for a while, then y'all switched it up a little bit. I imagine maybe there was a little bit of fuel saving from some of the guys like at the front. I know y'all were right on the edge of your fuel window, maybe just a little bit out of it. So through that whole run, how was it managing, having to push to get up to the leaders, but also saving gas at the same time?
One, I got a little frustrated with Souza there. I was trying to swap with him, and I don't know whether he thought I was joking or we were just not on the same page. I pulled out to the right, and it killed all our momentum, and I just saw red. And that's when I messaged Chris when I got to the back there, and I told him if he pulls out, I will push him back to the main pack, and that's exactly what I did. In that time frame, I didn't care about fuel. I just wanted to get to the lead pack. And once I was there, I'd figure it out.
Well, coming up to the end there, right, you'd gotten yourself up toward the front with Chris. Obviously, he had to pit, so he ended up becoming a non-issue. Unfortunate for Chris. He had a good run going until then. But you and Reese, up in second and third at the time, got passed by 3 cars training around you on the outside with about 3 laps to go. At that point, did you think your chance was over, or were you lining it up for that finish knowing that you were going to have one more shot?
I knew we had one more shot. The second that Reese started to get pulled off me, I got a little worried there. And being side by side with Chris, I think it was 2 cars to my outside, give or take. But once I hammered down and I wasn't at 3/4 throttle, whatever, the car just sucked back up. And I was waiting for Souza and I think that was Kevin to make a block, and they never did. So I don't know if they were just on the verge of sputtering and they didn't want to cause a wreck, or they thought that I wasn't going to have that big of a run. But I wanted to make sure before I made any moves that I had enough to make it back to the line without sputtering, and it worked out perfectly.
Well, Justin, congratulations on the race win. You got anybody to thank at the end of this one?
Of course, gotta thank you guys, best broadcast team in the biz. Dave and all the admins for putting this on. Ryko for another bad fast car, and everybody over at Mac Tools.
Well, Justin, congratulations once again on yet another race victory as we head closer and closer to the playoffs. Looking forward to seeing what you can do next week, and whenever we get to the playoffs, looking forward to seeing what you can do there.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Alrighty, that was your race winner, Justin Levine, here tonight from the Daytona International Speedway. Joe, you got any final thoughts for me here from Daytona?
What an emotional roller coaster. We had a bit of a slow start that ramped up by the end of stage 1, and then stage 2 managed to give us nearly 70 laps of excitement, followed by a great finish. I think it's a great way to start the NASCAR season. I'm looking forward to watching the race on Sunday with everybody else, and if SSRL is going to stay this good, the rest of the season is going to be so exciting.
I'd have to agree with you there, Joe, but that is going to do it from us at the from the entire Grid Vision team. We'd like to thank you for watching and participating in the chat. For more information on getting your league broadcasted or starting your career in broadcasting, contact us on Facebook, X, or email us at info@gridvision.live. Congratulations to Justin Levine on winning tonight's race from the Daytona International Speedway. This has been Austin Edstrom standing alongside Joe LaCastro and our producer, Austin Derbyshire. We will see you next time on the Grid.